Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. That's right, locked and loaded, ready to go talk some football with you guys. Appreciate all the support out there. Thank you guys so very much. And if you're new to the show, if you're just checking in just right now, listen, we are the most interactive football talk show there is. Make sure you get down with us. You can head over to YouTube or Facebook. Search us up on Football on the Know Show. You can hit that subscribe button to lock it in, and then hit that notification bell to notify you when we go live. Just become a member, become a know-it-all, and let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, become a member, know-it-all. Check it out, YouTube. And, we've had a lot of fun the past couple of years. And last week was very exciting. This NFL season is pretty nutty this year. There's fans in the stands and
finally
injuries everywhere, too. And there's upsets up and down. It's just nutty. We are feeling super hyped and super energized. And, by the way, being super hyped and energized, go to repsports.com, raise energy. That's right. And hit the promo code, raise them up. That's right. Raise them up. It's spelled right there for you. If you're listening to us on the podcast section there, it's RAZEMUP. Raise them up. Rep Sports. I'm super excited. I'm drinking the voodoo right now. I'm amped. All right, here we go. So, Week 6, another crazy week, Joe. I mean, wouldn't you get some of these games you can't even pinpoint. Oh, my goodness.
I'll tell you right now. This week 6 was really difficult. It really was. And there was a lot of surprises, actually. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you right now, like right off the top of my head, Miami and Jacksonville, 9 a.m. game.
That was an amazing game.
in Europe, in London. Wow. That was a lot of back and forth. I mean, I just didn't know what the hell was going on. And I thought for sure Miami was going to have a pretty darn good game plan going into that. Mm-hmm. And I understand it was an early start, for both teams and what have you. But it looked like Jacksonville Jaguars were way more prepared throughout that game. It just seemed like they had the answers at the right time, and they executed the plays. You know what I mean? And that's why they ended up coming out victorious. I mean, listen, a field goal, the last second, a field goal to end that game, and wow. That was amazing, and it wasn't even their original starting kicker. It was a guy off practice squad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he comes in to deliver the kick of his life and nails it. I mean, wow, it was really exciting. And even though Tua returned this week for the Miami Dolphins, it just wasn't enough.
Right, right. And he performed fairly well, too. And, I mean, that's all you can ask for. Like, some of those early London games, I don't bother getting up early enough to watch that, But this one, I knew it was going to be pretty good here, nice and exciting. We had implications with our picks on it, so I'm watching this game. It's going back and forth. It's like this could be anybody on this one. But I'm like, come on, Jacksonville. And the funny thing about the London games is, again, you see all these fans show up to the stadium that are wearing all different jerseys from other teams.
Oh, yeah.
But really, Jacksonville has been there the most. They play there the most.
Right.
Their owner owns a soccer team over there, too, as well, so they kind of know him. And it was kind of like a home game there, too, because there was a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars jerseys and things. And they were super excited, hyped after that field goal made it through. And I was excited for the Jaguars as well because they've had a lot of close ones this particular season that just ended by a field goal on the opposite side of them with all the other turmoil they've been dealing with this past week, too, with Urban Meyer and all that other nonsense and stuff. They can kind of put that past them here. They get a nice win, and they can celebrate together. But another exciting game there, Joe.
Congrats for the Jacksonville Jaguars getting it done all the way to the end. I mean, that was a great game. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the games I think that you called was pretty surprising. On the other hand, was how unprepared the Chargers seemed they were for that game with the Baltimore Ravens. It seemed like you said going from West Coast to East Coast, they had like an issue, and they just seemed like they were not ready. Just unprepared. Herbert didn't play very well. The defense wasn't very good either as well. And the Ravens just stomped all over them.
And what I'll say about that game, too, is I feel like the Ravens defense kind of, they took another step up. They started to play even better this week. And maybe that's, chemistry started to really blend well together. And a lot of the guys, they kind of stepped up, and it was too much for the Chargers offense. I really think, and Baltimore did not have an answer for Lamar Jackson, the LA Chargers. Mm-hmm. They did not have an answer for him. Listen, it's extremely hard to play against Lamar Jackson. A guy can throw, and he can run with those legs of his. Holy crap! Definitely the most mobile quarterback I have ever seen. A guy that's extremely difficult to tackle in the open field, and some of the moves that he makes and how quick that he makes them. It's almost like I don't believe he's human.
Yeah, because you can't really plan on reacting that fast. You know what I mean? To seeing that. It's like when people think about the moves that they do on Madden and stuff, you kind of see an overall over top of the view of like, oh, I see that guy coming up over here. Boom, I'm going to kind of go over here. This guy does it just, being at the field vision. Like if you were in that helmet cam that they have, get that field vision. It's pretty nutty because you've seen – I will look at quarterbacks missing guys that are waving wide open because they happen to be looking over here at a certain thing. And for a quarterback to have that vision while he's trying to run and also be able to make some throws to the guys that are open too as well, it's outstanding. And exactly, that game was kind of a surprise for me. I thought it was going to be a bit closer, but they just did not.
I expected that game to be close. Mm-hmm. And it just went completely one-sided really quick.
Really quick.
And when you get down that far down in terms of points and everything, you start to get a little anxious. You start to it's almost like a panic. It's not really panicking, but it's almost like a panic where you're trying to get back into the game quickly, and that's usually not the best way to go about it. You abandon the run game altogether. You're trying to make all these different passing plays, but then you become one-dimensional. And I feel like that's what fed the Baltimore's defense. It just fed right into them because then they got to pin their ears back. They already knew it was going to be a pass, and they would just send a variety of blitzes at the Chargers that kind of threw them off. It took them off by guard, and it was in the end it got the game got away from them relatively quickly, and that was that. So kudos to the Ravens for handling their business at home, which again. Playing Baltimore in Baltimore is a tough matchup altogether. But the Chargers, they gave it their best shot. They came up short, and I think really short.
Yeah,
not even.
and that's the funny thing too, because also when you watch shows too, and then also while they're broadcasting, they're trying to paint a picture here for everybody. This team is this and blah blah blah. Excuse me. Whoa, that raised voodoo. Woo. But the idea of this team up and coming, blah, blah. I think this season the most has kind of been like a team gets hot or they get a few wins. You're like, all right, yeah, these guys are it. And then all of a sudden they lay a stinker. Yeah. And then you're like, well, what the hell was that? Maybe we're not now. Now we're whacking up. We're questioning ourselves. Because, again, Justin Herbert was on a roll.
Right.
He was looking
everybody
look at the Chargers.
Him. Oh, he's the best quarterback in the league. He's so good.
Yep.
This team is on the rise. These guys are definitely going to the playoffs. And then they lose a game
that against a team that it's gonna again.
But this is why
should be contending with them.
This is why it's any given Sunday. You never know what's going to happen week to week, team to team. Chargers were like the love of the NFL for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden they lose a couple of games, and they're like, I don't know. Is this team really legit, or are they just kind of playing with our feelings? Like. Can we really, jump on the bandwagon just yet? Listen, it's too early altogether. You can go ahead and pick your teams. Like, yeah, Green Bay is 5-1 right now. Mm-hmm. They look like a potential favorite to win that division and to go into the playoffs, and who knows how far they can go. However, this is a long season. We are almost one more week, and we'll be halfway through the season, and there's a lot that can change. Like, team to team, that teams are dealing with injuries now a lot more often than normal, I would say.
So many injuries.
And good thing that there is this 3 to 4 week IR option for these teams, because normally, you go back a couple of years or even last year, you put an IR claim in on a guy and that's it. He's done. He's done for the season. You didn't even get to have him back a few weeks later. Now that they have this new format for IR, it's helping teams out a little bit here. Just when you think you lose a key piece, maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to be injured for a couple of weeks, but you put him on that short-term IR, he's back in 3 or 4. and you can continue, your success, hopefully. So that alone, I feel like is helping teams. Like, yeah, everybody's dealing with injuries right now, and it's crazy. And you see free agent signings happening like crazy. Look at the Ravens, man. They signed not one, not two, but 3 free agent running backs because basically they lost everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's actually
they all
worked out well
in that
for
game,
them.
right?
Huh?
You had 3 different running backs that
3
scoring
Yep.
touchdowns in that game, and it ended up working out that way.
Yeah.
For them, but that's how some of these teams win. And if you look at the Ravens, that's the thing for me too as well. They're another one of those teams that. Look at this. They barely edged out the Detroit Lions, which the Lions probably should have won that game because of the time management, the clock management.
That's why we played the game.
Off. But they won that one, but it was close.
That's why we play.
Again, they barely edged out a win the week before that, too, as well, and just came back. They were getting dominated in that game, but then were able to stomp right back and came back and won. And then last week, they ended up dominating another team that looked like it was going to be another close one, like that maybe this can maybe prove who they are, in which they did, but by a huge margin, in fact. So that's what I think is interesting about this particular season again, because you'll have these teams beat some other teams that you thought were good teams, but then you're taking a step back and like, well, I don't know so much now. Just like a lot of people are questioning, I think the Chiefs sitting now back at the basement of the AFC West right now, looking up at teams like the Broncos and the Raiders and the Chargers still.
And the interesting thing about all this is you're starting to see more and more parity throughout the league. You know what I mean? It's not so quick to surmise like, oh, well, this team's going to be absolute garbage this whole season. There's no doubt. Like, look at Detroit. We kind of, and I'm going to be honest, we kind of wrote off Detroit altogether, before the season started. And we said, well, yeah, we don't really think they're going to be very competitive. Like, yeah, they got a couple of nice pieces on offense, but defense is still lacking. But to be honest, I'm kind of surprised. I'm impressed even with how well and how competitive they've been week to week with some teams, and just edging. I mean, they're so close to winning a couple games that it's hard not to be like, wow, yeah, they're still there. They're still capable. But they still need a few more pieces, and that's why it's still kind of like that rebuilding transition year for them.
Yeah, and I kind of cursed them, I guess, then, too, because I thought they were going to be the first team with a win again, and they haven't been. They haven't got one yet. So,
and the other thing, too, is like, you look at all these other situations, is look at the team that beat the Ravens. It's the Raiders.
Yeah.
And the Raiders were hot early on, and everyone's like, oh, wow, hey, they beat the Ravens, then they go to Pittsburgh, and they beat the Steelers, and it looked like they were getting the ball rolling, and all of a sudden they have, like, a couple of losses, and they trip over their own feet a couple times, and then this week, with everything that's been going on with the whole John Gruden saga and all that, for the Raiders to actually come together as a team and not just beat the Broncos, but they literally ran all over them, they passed all over the place on them, and they just dominated them. Boom, shakalaka. So, I mean, take it like a grain of salt because it is Denver. You know what I mean? Like let's face it, Denver isn't quite there just yet. They have some nice pieces, and are still building on that. But at the same point in time, you never know. That's why they play the games on Sundays. Is for these exact scenarios. Like, just when you think a team that like Miami, I thought for sure Miami was going to win this game. I thought that they had, especially with Tua coming back, or the potential of Tua coming back, I felt like they had a nice. This would have been a nice game for them to like maybe get a W real quick, playing up against a weaker opponent in the Jaguars, and an opponent that's not as experienced as them. But that's why they play the game, and in the end, Jags get it. So
absolutely. Joe,
hello.
Somebody's in the
Who's
house
there?
with us. Lady Bills is in the house with us tonight.
Hey, there she is.
All right. Says, I think the Raiders have more to show. Well, maybe they do.
Maybe.
Let's hope. And that's the thing. And we end up picking the Raiders this past week, too, because we were kind of hoping, especially with this particular type of game, too, with the Broncos being who they are, just getting Teddy Bridgewater back to the last nick of time. Even when we picked this, I don't think he was even scheduled to come back yet, but they even put him in there. But I was still confident in because, again, they really believe in the coach that they put in for the interim right now. And they used some of this fuel, I think, from the media, what's been driven towards John Gruden, whether they're upset with Gruden or whether they stand by him. I think they want to stand together as a whole in a team and move forward, and they really put out a nice shelling here with the Broncos. Broncos tried to come back a little bit, but it was already kind of junk time stuff. So they pretty much, they already pretty much dominated them all together in that game, and really a nice emotional win.
Right, and you mentioned emotional win, but like I was actually impressed with the stats that came out from the Raiders game, especially defensively. 6 sacks as a team. 3 of them happened. Mad Max Crosby was like really shelling out body bags in that game.
He looked like a bitch.
And I will say Teddy Bridgewater kind of looked like a bitch. But the Raiders defense, man, and they kind of confused Teddy a couple times because there was also interceptions involved. They had 3 picks in that game. Trayvon Merrick, the rookie safety, that one was like literally thrown right to him. Not really. I don't consider that really a pick. But Nate Hobbs and newly added Brandon Fassen, I think his last name is, both of them had picks in that game, and they were locked down that whole game. So praise to the defensive coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff for coming up with great game plans, and the team and the players out there executing. So it was a pretty good game.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
There's another game I want to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
I want to jump down to it because
I know
I felt like because now we got Lady Bills up in the building. But Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans. That was an incredible game. I mean, under the lights. I mean, we thought for sure Buffalo was going to run away with this one. I felt like maybe Tennessee would score a couple times and they'd kind of hang around kind of a little bit, but in the end, I thought Bills were going to have at least like maybe a 3-touchdown lead and end up winning this game. But unfortunately, what the hell happened? I mean, there was some issues, and really it came down to there was one thing the Bills had to do: stop Derrick Henry, or at least slow him down. Don't let him take over games.
That's the game plan. That should be, right?
And here's the thing. I'm gonna say something a little bit to any future team facing Derrick Henry. How you tackle a guy like that who has speed and the immense size that he does. You take his legs out. You don't try to hit his upper body. You don't try to hit him in the midsection. You just come in and take those legs out, and he is done. So I mean, I was actually surprised with that one for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People have tried, to take him on from the side too, and just kind of glance off him. That's the thing too. They were saying at one point he hit 22 miles per hour. Yeah, and he's like 260 something like that, and going that fast. I mean, that is nuts. Lady Bill says she disagrees. She felt like it was going to be a battle and be closer, and you don't know sometimes. That's the thing. She says Henry is a beast. Props to him. Edmonds was the only match for him, and they tried to do it too late in the game. 21.8. She has it right on the dot. Ding. And then, but yeah, and that's the thing. You looked at the Bills in this one, and it seemed almost like how they were playing, I think, against, what was it, week 1 against the Steelers. Kind of seemed like they had the momentum, and then all of a sudden they kind of were like tailing off a little bit, but then they started to bounce back and get in there. And still at the end of the game, they had the opportunity to win. And it went down to that fourth down conversion right there at the goal line right there.
Oh God.
It's half a yard.
I'm sorry. It was a half a yard, but if it's 4th and short, right? And I understand you're right there, you're close to the goal line, and you really want to punch it in. But I will say this. It was a bad play call, like extremely bad play call, because the opposing defense is 100% thinking you're going to either run the ball with a running back or you're going to do a quarterback sneak with Josh Allen. And the other part of it, I'll say, is 1, bad call, and 2, take the points. It's a risk to go for. You had 4th down, and if you don't get it, it's game over. So if I would have said this, I would have done play action with Josh Allen because he's mobile. You fake it to the running back, you roll out, and then you could either throw it to Dawson Knox in the back of the end zone or a hitch route for Diggs or somebody, and then you could also have the running back leak out as well. And that gives him a few options, plus he can also run. You know what I mean? If it's open enough, he could run and get that first down, let alone touchdown. So that's one thing. And for me, if I'm in the same spot, I know you want to win the game and you want to just end it there. But man, that close to kick the field goal, for it to be that close, take the points, go into overtime. Your defense is playing well. Your offense was starting to really get itself together. Take it into overtime and see what you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she says here, McDermott put his trust in his players, but you go for the sure thing. And that's the thing, too. Is I understand where he was coming from, because on the other end, I was looking at it as when they did that, I think they really didn't believe that their defense was going to hold them, because you even saw in the latter parts, they were getting torched by Derrick Henry still. He was able to kind of run at will on them. I think the defense was getting tired, and I really thought at that point that he thought we had to go for this win now, because if we get the tie and then they get the coin toss, they were probably going to just run it back down and get the touchdown.
Yeah, and Lady Bills just says, she goes, with how hard the Titans were playing, they were going to stop them. You know, especially for that run. Any kind of run play, they were going to stop them, whether it be quarterback sneak or handing it off. They were geared towards that. Listen, they were betting. That defense was betting on it. They were betting on it. Mm-hmm. So you can't give into that. That's why I say, you know, if they did that play action, it frees up a couple different options. He can throw, he can get that first down, or maybe even score then, who knows. But in the end, like, I would have kicked that ball.
Right.
Like, I would have take your chances, go into overtime, and see what can happen. I understand that defense was kind of getting a little tired. I understand that. But when you get to that overtime, it's almost like, for a football player, it's like a second chance. You know what I mean? You start to really focus. You're like, okay, now it's sudden death. Now it's game time. Now we have to do something. We got to go balls out, you know, and just get this dub. We got to play defense. We got to shut them down. We got to play offense. We're just going to do what we were doing throughout the course of the game. We were keeping them on their heels and you know, throwing the ball, running the ball a little bit, dumping it off. Josh Allen running himself as well.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I think we criticize the Titans defense because especially the way they had played against the Jets, but they came into this game and they were able to put pressure on Josh Allen, and even he was able to run a little bit, but he was diving and still trying to hurdle to get whatever plays he could, and even felt unsettled, I think, in the pocket, to where even one of those throws that when he threw into double coverage, that should have been an intercepted ball, but I think Jackrabbit Jenkins ended up kind of knocking it out of, I forget what the guy who came in for the injured player, I think Borders, I think his name was, came in, and he kind of almost knocked it out of his hands. Or else that was
he definitely did.
Sure pick. That was it. Yeah. It was done. And, I mean, that would have been bad for the Bills right there. That was basically side seal delivered. Goodbye. And so, again, they were never really comfortable. They were really unsettled, and it seemed like when he was able to get the ball out to, like, Diggs and stuff, they were amped up. They knew the pressure was on, and it was always kind of an uphill battle, I think, for the Bills. But that's why I think when they were feeling it at the end, they had to try. They thought they had to go for the step on your throat to finish it, because I don't think we're going to make it out of this in overtime. But like you said, if they did, go for play action, because, you know, that particular play right before they go in for that quarterback sneak, they lined up in the same exact formation, and Mike Vrabel called that timeout.
Right.
I think he already knows what they were going to do. He knew, because he even saw whatever formation you're in. He was like, wait a minute, now I've seen this, because they watch film too.
Right.
And we've seen the Bills do this play before. You know, line up and you know, shotgun and then pull up and then boom, snap and go.
Right.
And he's I know what we're doing. Because you know what? No matter what the
it's
record might be
science
for the Titans, Mike Vrabel knows, and he studies all this. We saw him out-coach Bill Belichick in the playoffs. He already knew what he was going to do ahead of time, knew the playbook, or not the playbook, but the rule book, front to back, and outplayed Belichick on that whole thing. So I knew he was ready for this one, and it showed. And congrats to the Titans on getting that penetration in the middle and hitting Allen early, to where he took his legs right out from underneath him, and he slipped down and fell short from that first down.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing too. There's too many things that can happen, and that just showed it too. Is that the defense already knew what was going to happen. Everybody kind of knew that it was going to be a run play. The way they were in that formation, it was either going to be a handoff or Josh Allen was going to take it himself. And it was just a bad offensive play call on the Bills side. But and then what we got? Lady Bills also said, I give props to the Titans. They had something to prove. Super physical game. One of the best I've seen in a while. And, yeah, it was a great game. It was awesome to watch, for sure.
We got Tom Gaz in the house tonight.
What's going on, Tom?
There he goes. Titans, most underrated franchise in the NFL. Double-digit lead against the Chiefs 2 years in the AFC title game, now 4-2. Perhaps, but I don't know about underrated altogether. They're, I think, just one of those tricky teams. They're one of those guys that I think if they revolve all around Derrick Henry and basically Ryan Tannehill just can't mess up. Yes, they've got the weapons there, but they've been injured though too. Yeah, they haven't had those guys on the field together in a few weeks. So they're trying to stay healthy. And AJ Brown even played in that game with food poisoning. But he saw Jimmy with his shirt off. He is more jacked than Derrick Henry. Nice. Yes, you did. You said that's awesome. I'm not more jacked than him though. But I tell you what, I might be able to I might do some of his training that he does. It seems like it's working out for him. I don't think I'm going to be able to blow up to like 260 at all because he looked, I think, bigger than I did when he was in high school. But thanks, guys, absolutely. But I think some of these teams can kind of sneak in there as almost underrated because I think what Lady Bills brought up last particular week was the fact that some of these teams that have been the losers of the NFL are kind of stepping up and becoming some of those teams at the top of the division here. And the Titans, we've been kind of asking, are they going to be able to take it further into the playoffs and not get shut down by these particular teams? They were able to do that last year against the Patriots. Were able to, boom, that humps over. Now this, boom, humps over. Just like the same thing with the Ravens and the Chiefs. Ravens knocked off the Chiefs this particular year too, when that's been kind of the camel on their back, and things like that, if that's even a real saying or not. But
I mean, you just called it.
There you go.
It's a real saying now.
It is.
It's official.
TM right there. That's all. But yeah, I mean, and it could be. But there's a lot of teams out there too as well that this particular year, it's hard to gauge some of them, and that's what's great about it so far. Lady Bill says longevity is the issue with the Titans if they can get healthy, and that is a key point that she brings up here too. I brought it up last week. If you look at the teams that are at the top of each division, just about, they're pretty much the most healthiest teams out there. At the bottom of the barrel, despite, instead of like say the Jaguars and a few others that are still fairly healthy, just getting their program in order and trying to get better. Other teams that have a lot of injuries are at the bottom. I mean, look at the Giants. They weren't very good playing well together when some of them were healthy, but as the injuries keep compounding, they can't get it out of their own way, and they're just at the bottom of the basement.
And you're seeing that throughout the league.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's not just a few teams.
You can do a laundry list. I think I could fill like a Star Wars, at the beginning when they scroll the words. I can just put it on our screen going up of all the injuries going through it. It could fill our whole show.
It probably could. But so you look at like teams like the LA Chargers are one of those teams that are like coming back into that competitive race, but they're fairly healthy. There's not too many, players that they're missing. But, just like Lady Bills just said, tons of injuries for the Bills. Now, Bills are one of those top contending teams, and they're dealing with a ton of injuries. Raiders are the same thing. They're up there in the win column and everything, and they're competing for that AFC West, but they are heavily injured as well. So, I mean, there's a mix of it throughout the league where teams are they are still winning or still finding a way to win despite the amount of injuries that they have. And then there's those teams that are healthy, and that's kind of a big part why they're on top as well. And then you've got the teams that are just in rebuild mode at this point. You look at Houston, who we all kind of figured without Deshaun Watson, they really didn't stand much of a chance this season. Detroit, I mean, they're competitive. Don't get me wrong. I'm impressed by the competitiveness of that team week in and week out. But they are also going through that little bit of a transition as well.
Yeah, and she brings up a fact here, too, that about Knox being out. Dawson Knox is going to be a huge blow because you've seen the emergence of him and how important he was to that team as well. And
he was a player that we kind of called out before the season started and said, hey, this guy's a question mark right now. What is he going to be? Is he going to be the staple at tight end? Is he going to have a breakout year this year? Or is he going to, continue his, mediocre play, the past several seasons that he's been on the team? So that question was answered relatively quickly this year, and Dawson Knox definitely became a staple.
Yeah, absolutely. If you take a look at some of these other games that were in here, let's look at like one last one here. What do we got here? That was a close one.
Well, Minnesota, Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great game.
That one was a good game, too.
That was right down.
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought for sure Minnesota had it won. You know what I mean? When they got that little bit of a lead, and then I was like, oh, wow, man, all the momentum has shifted to Minnesota. This game looks like it's a wrap. And Carolina fought to come back, and they ended up tying it, and they go into overtime.
Yep.
Only to come up short.
Just to come up short again, and that was kind of interesting here for me watching that game too, because again, like you said, I thought Minnesota kind of had it, but they were like letting keeping them hanging around
like
still.
Teetering. They're teetering.
They couldn't exactly finish it off, and then you saw that Darnold was able to get some of these plays going. Let me tell you this: it wasn't exactly Sam Darnold's fault that they lost that game, because there were a lot of drop passes by the receivers.
Oh yeah, DJ Moore fumbling,
and even some of them. Yeah, if they ended up, because even some of those drives, they still end up going down and scoring.
Yeah.
But if they had all those drops back, I mean, it would have been probably
you never know what's going to happen.
A different game and perhaps outcome.
Maybe.
But it was another one of those where it was kind of going back and forth, where the Carolina Panthers were trying to go blow for blow with them, and then Robbie Anderson comes up with that last touchdown at the end to try and get it closer, but again, just came up short for them and the Minnesota Vikings. That was another one that I picked different from you. I really needed to hang on to something.
I'll tell you right now is what you saw in that game. I watched a little bit of that game. Is Carolina's defense as good as it is? They couldn't stop. They could not stop Minnesota's run game with Dalvin Cook. I was kind of surprised. I know that the Panthers have a really fast team, so I figured they might have matched up well with being able to tackle Dalvin Cook or get to him, early on, so he doesn't have a breakout, run or anything like that. But man, they really struggled. And does that mean that if you're a more physical team going up against a young defense like Carolina, and they're not that big? Like, their biggest part of their defense, obviously, is the D-line, but they got some pretty big D tackles. Then after that, you look at their linebackers. They're not real stout linebackers. Shaq Thompson, he used to be a safety, for crying out loud, and he converted to linebacker. They got a lot of these, like, thinner type, athletic looking linebackers that have a lot of speed and tackle well, and they do everything like coverage and all that very well. However, when it comes to taking on an offensive lineman, they get shoved right out of the way, or maybe even a fullback or tight end that comes in and attempts to block them. So that might be a weakness of theirs going down the stretch of this season to keep a close eye on how teams do play them. Because like now, Minnesota, the way they had their game plan and the way they executed on the football field against that defense, maybe they have a blueprint to beat it. But you got to be physical now. You got to have good physical blockers and be able to run the ball.
I tell you, there's two other games I just want to bring up that were really close too.
I got one. You probably got the same one.
Go ahead. You bring it up.
Dallas, New England.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, there you go.
Dallas, New England. That was wow. I was on the edge of my seat that game. I was really rooting for New England because I so badly wanted New England to win because. Well, honestly, I don't like the Cowboys.
Me too. I hate picking.
But listen, I give all the props in the world to Dak Prescott. I'm going to be completely honest. The guy is absolutely proving a lot of haters wrong really quickly now. Like everyone, like me included, when he got his injury, I'm like, oh, man, I don't know if he's going to be able to come back. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back and be himself. You know what I mean? Because when you have a major injury like that, especially if it's your first one in the NFL, that it's like – You almost get flashbacks while you're playing about that injury, especially when it's one of your first weeks back in the lineup. You're on the field, you're playing against live teams and everything, and you start to think about, man, do I have to hide that? Do I have to can I run? Can I not run? You know what I mean? You could see that the first week he played, like he was still starting to think about like how much he could actually do, and until he became comfortable with that injury and that how the healing process that he went through. We saw that displayed that night against New England. It was amazing. That afternoon, I will say. He really he's done everything extremely well up to this point. You can doubt the guy as much as you want. Listen, I doubted Dak Prescott when he first got into the league, and I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, he's mobile, but like, can he really make all the throws? Can he diagnose defenses? Can he do the X's and O's part? Like, no doubt about his athletic ability, but man, he's really displaying a phenomenal career so far, and being able to answer all those haters' questions about can he do this long term? Can he do this now he's got the injury? Can he do this, with these receivers? Can he do this with – listen, the guy runs if he has to run. He doesn't do it all a lot, but when he does, he'll kill you. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get to him, he's going to slay your defense with his arm. Like, he's really impressing me a lot.
That's the difference I think he's doing this year. I don't think he's running as much this season because
he doesn't have to.
But he doesn't have to, and that's the thing that's more impressive. He's being able to move around in the pocket still, not even really rolling out so much. In the pocket, looking down, seeing the vision down there, and allowing the receivers to get open and be able to make a play because, again, the corners and the secondary can only guard for so long if that protection is there. So there's been able to get that protection. They have the two running backs that they could use as well, but look at the weapons he has too as well. I mean, this is what I mean, and they are one of the. You want to talk about when I said healthiest? They are one of the healthiest teams out there right now.
Yeah,
and that's a big part of it because you're playing some of these other teams that are not. And for the Patriots even to be into this game, I think that was a great coaching standard by them and the way the players performed. And Mac Jones, I think, played well.
Can I just say something real quick? Is the Cowboys defense? What is Quinn doing? Remember we had a conversation last week about Micah Parsons, about how you shouldn't put him back at linebacker, keep him at the end. That's where he's going to thrive. And this past week, guess what I noticed? Micah Parsons back at linebacker, and he got exposed in the passing game. He could not stay with anybody that was running in his side or his responsibility, and that's a problem that the Cowboys are going to have continuously happening as long as they have Parsons at linebacker. They need to do a better job and have somebody else play that linebacker spot and move him to D-end, because I feel like if they had Parsons at D-end, especially with DeMarcus Lawrence out, now I get it. Randy Gregory was back this week, and they put him in his place. But I really feel if you had Randy Gregory on one side and Parsons on the other side, that defensive line was going to get to that quarterback more often than not, and it would have helped even more for the secondary to not have to stay in coverage so long, or linebackers for that matter. But I don't know what the thinking is going forward. Maybe they saw the same thing I did, and maybe they'll change it back to where Parsons was before at D-end. But as long as DeMarcus Lawrence is out, you got to have those two at ends. That's what's going to really help your defense going forward as long as Lawrence is out.
Yeah, but that was, again, a really close game. And what's funny is because
how about my man Mac Jones? Let's talk a little bit about Mac Jones, because he had a really good game in that game, and it was back and forth, and he still stuck to his guns. Listen, he took a couple of hits too, and he still stayed in the pocket. He was still tough, still delivering all the passes, and had that offense humming. They really did. Jonnu Smith got heavily involved. All the receivers, and I say all, but mostly Keandrick Bourne. He got a little bit more involved this week as well. And you saw their offensive line isn't completely healthy because Cabbage Patch Trent Brown is still complaining about his calf that was hurting like 2 years ago. But the Patriots on defense played well up until towards the end. It seemed like they started to give away. Maybe the Cowboys offense started to figure their defense out a little bit better, and Bill Belichick maybe just didn't make enough adjustments.
He was playing a lot of that zone at the end, and that's where it ended up.
Oh, you're going to get eaten up.
Yep, and that's what happened. That's where CeeDee Lamb got open so much right there. But again, Mac Jones, like you said, he was playing well. He was able to do some damage against that Dallas defense, but the fact that it showed the best and worst of Trayvon Diggs, and this is what we talk about here with Trayvon Diggs, when people want to crown him and say he's the next Deion Sanders and all this other shit.
No.
And Deion Sanders even wasn't the best corner at a lot of different things. He would get a lot of interceptions.
He just doesn't tackle.
But he just can't tackle worth a shit either. Yeah, you got to remember that too as well. So you want to put the good with the good.
Here's my
also
thing.
Take the bad. And the thing is, he's not good in coverage at all, especially on double moves. And he showed it right there
Man-to-man
in that
coverage.
particular game, and he showed it throughout the season so far. You know why? Because he's always quick to try and jump routes, and that's where he gets those picks. Yep. So he'll get the pick, and then also this past pick was, again, because of opportunity. That's why I keep saying opportunistic. It happened to be a tip pass that should have been caught. And it happened to fall right to him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He is a former wide receiver who still has good hands and is able to lure in passes like that. Maybe he should have played receiver for the Patriots there at that particular point. But able to get out there, get that pick six, but also that's why it was poetic right there, because on the next basically particular play for the Patriots gets burned by Kendrick Bourne right there. It gives up the big deep bomb just when the Cowboys were feeling amped up and they're basically kissing.
Yeah, they were
waving the Patriots.
Oh, that
goodbye.
was at the very end though.
Yeah. Well, they even did it on that last score when he had that pick six, and then all of a sudden they gave up that big play, and there go the Patriots right back in it. You're in the same boat, so now you had to put the pressure back onto Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. They were able to just come right back there.
Yeah, they definitely answered the call
back there too as well. But that's where you saw the best of Trayvon Diggs and the worst as well, where he gets, it's good to be a ball hawk and keep an eye on the quarterback and try to bite it, but it will burn you too.
But here's the thing is that, Trayvon Diggs is great in zone. That's what he's great in. And that's when the Cowboys do go into that zone coverage, that's when he thrives. He's able to keep his eyes on the quarterback. That's how he can jump those routes and pick those balls off. But when it's in man coverage, and you have a receiver that can run good routes, you can expose him like it was shown in that New England game. So don't be too quick to say how great Diggs is. He does a lot of things extremely well. Don't get me wrong, but just like any other corner, you can get burned. And he was exposed in one game on both both parameters of that, him being successful and him being falling short for lack of a better term there.
And one other thing I want to bring up when you bring about Dak Prescott, what he's doing well, but I saw a couple of other quarterbacks that are kind of the up and coming or like the new age quarterbacks, you want to say about Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. Josh Allen, he's done it the last couple of weeks, and he did it this particular week, is when the pressure's coming from the outside, he feels like he needs to run outside or further back. And what that only does is cut that angle down easier for those outside rushers, and you run right into that pressure instead of stepping up in the pocket, having the pressure go behind you now, and then you can still see your vision and make a play or even step up and run. Too many guys are trying to bootleg out of it, and they're running right into the blitz and the pressure. And we saw it with Josh Allen a few times this past week. I saw it a couple times during the season. And a few others. Patrick Mahomes has done the same exact thing, too, to where you end up making a dumbass mistake. Look at Patrick Mahomes when they keep saying, Hall of Fame bound, blah, blah, blah.
He's the greatest player in the league.
What the hell? Again, people want to slam Eli Manning, but he was doing it in Eli Manning when he ran out and he's getting tackled for a sack. It's like, no, I will not give up this sack, and goes, and it throws a dove up in the air, fluttering around. Easy, just pick a can of corn for somebody. It's like, what the hell are you doing? And that's your glorious Patrick Mahomes right there. But it shows you, too, anytime you get pressure on these quarterbacks and things, that changes everything. Changes the mentality. If you're feeling uneasy and things and you feel like you got to get it out, you're going to make mistakes. It happens. And that's where he's still growing. So before you you want to crown him. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Stop crowning these people ahead of time. But no
matter what quarterback you go up against, I don't care if it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, anybody, Lamar Jackson. If you get pressure on any quarterback, listen, they're not going to make the greatest throw. They're not. You know what I mean? When you get
I don't know any quarterback that says, hey, whenever you're pressuring me the most and blah, 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 and you got guys in my face, that's when I do best.
Well, I mean, there are
some people that can elevate their game and do
so
it. So
Tom Brady does that. Derek Carr does that actually better than anybody in the league. Like when there's a stat out there that says when Derek Carr gets blitzed, his completion percentage or something goes up, not down like it normally would. So there's certain rare, like even I would put Aaron Rodgers in that category too. That Russell Wilson, I think, does a really great job at that too. When you're rushing them, and they just seem to something. I don't know what it is. Something clicks. Like they just like maybe time slows down for them. I don't know what it is, but they're able to make those plays or get rid of the football somehow into the receiver's arms or hands that they just get it done. So when you got guys like, Patrick Mahomes, like perfect example. Everybody was ready to crown this guy saying, oh my God, he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's the most amazing quarterback in the NFL today. Well, your hero or your favorite quarterback in this league is not looking so hot right now. Through several weeks of football, we've seen them lose games because of his bad mistakes, because he doesn't want to take a sack, because he just feels like he needs to make a play, because he wants, because it's almost like his ego's getting best of him. You know what I mean? Because we've seen some miraculous plays that he's made, no doubt. Like we've seen him, make these little shovel passes that he does when he gets into trouble. He's rushing outside and he just shovels it to his tight end or a receiver. And we've also seen the throw where he kind of looks one way and throws the other. You know what I mean? So he's made some pretty astounding plays, but at the same time, this year especially, he's making a lot of bonehead plays. When pressure is on, he's just trying to make something happening that's just not there. And until he changes his, ability, or I should say changes his thought process week to week and get back to, the fundamentals that when he came into the league, get back to that, he's going to continue to struggle.
Right, and we've seen it happen with a few different quarterbacks. I think Eli Manning started to get like that. I think Carson Wentz, even though he's been getting injured, and that's the reason why I think he's been getting injured, I think he feels like he needed to make the play and get things done because that's what had to be done. Because especially the pressure getting there, they feel it, and they feel like they have to do something, so they won't go down. He does it numerous times. He doesn't have even the talent that Patrick Mahomes has shown he's been doing, but you've seen him just about to go down, and something goes through his bonehead brain and says, I got to throw this away.
Yeah.
And then it goes right to somebody else, and you're kind of like,
you're
what
also
the hell?
starting to see that, too, in the AFC North with Ben Roethlisberger and also Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. Baker Mayfield does have an injury. It's his non-throwing, he's got a torn labrum, and he's being shut down for the Thursday night football game. Won't be able to play.
He got to heal up.
But it's not going to heal. Like, this is going to be, as long as he plays. Listen, he gave it a go in practice, said, no, this is too much. Listen, it's a pain management problem right now, and it could develop to be something even more serious if you keep going with this. I understand Cleveland doesn't want to shut him down. He doesn't want to be shut down because it is like not even the halfway through the season. Maybe they could make it. Maybe they couldn't. But in the event that Cleveland is like kind of out of the playoff race or something, if that happens, then just shut him down and call it a year. But he's another quarterback that's trying to make things happen that just isn't there. And I wonder if it has anything to do with Odell being back. Because we noticed the last time he struggled was when they traded for Odell and he came over. It seemed like Baker Mayfield looked atrocious at times, and you're kind of wondering. And then we started to hear murmurings of Odell in his ear, like "Throw me the ball, man. You know I'm going to always be there. Just throw it up to me." A lot of pressure he was putting on a young Baker Mayfield at the time. Now Odell's back. It seems like 2 years of missing football, and now is that happening again? Like, is Baker feeling like he's being pressured to do something rather than just play quarterback? Just throw the ball to whoever's open.
Yeah, look at your views and who you have open and things instead of say, oh, there's Odell. He's my big guy. I got to get to him now and get things going, especially when you haven't been able to get that momentum together and be on the same page with each other. We've got Mike Tackett's in the house with us tonight.
Hey, there he is. What's up, Mike?
There he goes. Happy hump day, fellas. Last week I went 10-4, making my yearly total 63.
Look at him go.
And 30. There you go.
Look at
Here
him go.
are my picks for this week. Broncos, Packers, Chiefs, Falcons, Patriots, Ravens, Panthers, Raiders, Rams, Cardinals, Bucks, Colts, and Saints. All right, we'll take a look at that during our picks.
All right.
By the way, Mike Tackett, I want to let you know, too, out there, and other know-it-alls out there for everybody listening.
Tell them.
We're going to be doing some merch right now.
That's right.
So I'm going to let you guys know, but we also are going to post it on our Facebook pages out there. But for those of you listening right now, what will you guys be into? Shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, sweatpants, whatever you want. Let us know out there if you were interested, one, in getting something, and what item would you like to get so we can get an inventory together and we'll get our shop together for you guys. And when it goes live, we'll let you know about pricing and all that other nonsense and stuff. But we want to get a gauge of what you guys are into because we want to be able to best serve know-it-alls out there and be able to get you guys the product that you want. And we'll try and do the best that we can get exactly that you want. You want hats or shirts or whatever.
Maybe we can get some winter hats for the people that are up north or whatever in the cold. Mike, I got a question for you. Do you ever wear a hoodie down there?
Right. I mean, they do when it's 50. It's too cold at 50 degrees down there for him. I'm sure that's like a brisk.
I could see that maybe.
But you know what though, for him though, Mike, being from Cleveland, Ohio type of area, I'm sure he's used to the cold though too. I don't think you lose that.
I don't know. He might have adapted. Depends how long he's been down there. So
T-shirts or Speedos.
Yes.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh man.
Our guy.
So he wears T-shirts or Speedos, not hoodies in Florida?
Excellent.
There you go. That's what they be sporting out there, I guess. So I would imagine if we did, we went to God's and be like, God's, we're going to take 12 orders of Speedos. We want this many shirts. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Really?
What did you just say?
I don't know. Hey, if you put a football on the no emblem right on the front of Speedos, it makes it look bigger. So there you go.
Oh, there he goes.
Well, he's a long sleeve shirt and shorts kind of guy all year round. Gets cold in Columbus. See, I knew he would kind of get that. But he's one of those bigger guys too that I think is just like, again, longer sleeve shirt and has to sport the shorts.
He's football bred.
Yeah.
He's just a football bred kind of guy.
Absolutely. So there you go. And so anybody else out there too, if you guys are interested, let us know in the comments and stuff like that. What you would be interested.
Yeah, we just want to get
T-shirts, whatever, and then even sizes too, if so we can gauge on what kind of sizes to get for everybody.
Just trying to gauge how much interest we got, so maybe we can get a little bit of inventory for you guys and send.
And
those
we're looking
out
at early November, so it's coming in a couple weeks. So just to let you guys know out there. So definitely, anything like that, we're really appreciative. One more thing, just quick about the games last week. I'd say just even don't touch on it a whole lot, but Steelers and the Seahawks, I thought that game was closer than I thought it was going to be. Even with Geno Smith, he looked good at times, was able to get some things and make some things happen. And they even were making that drive at the end. And that kind of fumble and everything that happened with DK Metcalf instead of going out of bounds, and then it went off to the side and lost yardage. So then the field goal missed, and all said and done now with that team in that game.
I you know what, with Geno Smith, he played as well as Geno could play. You know what I mean? So for a lot of people,
he's your quarterback, your backup.
For a lot of people that know Geno Smith, he struggled as soon as he came into the league. He was a jet quarterback. He struggled there. He struggled everywhere he's been. And for the longest time, he's been kind of just sitting up there in Seattle, waiting, as Russell Wilson's backup. And 9 times out of 10, Russell Wilson doesn't ever get hurt. Like, he's pretty healthy of a quarterback. So Geno was just collecting a paycheck basically for the longest time, and now it's his time to shine. And actually, he's head and shoulders better than what he used to be. So I will give Seattle a lot of credit in developing him further. And yes, he's your backup quarterback, so you don't expect him to be Russell Wilson, but he has some mobility. He can run when he gets into trouble, and you can't expect too much of him. So he's not Russell Wilson. So, when it comes to game planning going forward until Russell Wilson makes his return, you got to keep it simple. You can't make it you can't put everything on his shoulders. Now, this is going to be an excellent, almost an excellent transition for Russell Wilson to be like, hey, how much did you guys miss me? 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, because we all know that the issue that he had in this past offseason was, I'm not being protected enough. The offensive line needs to be improved. You guys need to do something, or I may want to be traded. That was being reported out there. And it sounds like Russell Wilson still is not happy with this organization. So coming into this offseason, this is your indication right here. Geno Smith as your starter right now for the moment. How much do you really miss Russell Wilson? Because he's a humongous part of that offense, and it's showing already after 1 week of football.
Right, and you kind of we all kind of knew this too as well, and now you get to see it play out, because But he's been dealing with the most consecutive years of being sacked over 40-plus times.
Yeah.
Now his body has basically said, here, boom. There, at least it's only like, the one finger hitting, I would think it was a helmet or something, but I ended up really wrecking it and going through surgery. But nothing major like a torn type of tendons here, there in his legs and other things that really hinder him from being to be able to play the quarterback position altogether.
Yeah, he just needs to heal up.
Yeah, so, I mean, he can sit back. But, he's been a real team player, too, for them as well on the sidelines, being motivational for everybody.
Oh, of course.
Be there with Geno Smith as well. And I think, like you said as well, Geno Smith played as good as I think as about he could do.
Right.
And the idea for, like, he did not lose them that game. I think he kept them in the game and played well. But that shows you how much Russell Wilson is kind of missed by this team. And the fact that when you looked at the Seattle Seahawks, they were able to get chunk plays from Russell Wilson. If you looked at his yards per attempt, it was like over 15 or something like that each play, bigger chunk plays, and you weren't able to get anything like that from Geno Smith. And so I think the team performed well, but yeah, they're going to struggle with not having Russell Wilson. And it could play into something in the offseason, and it probably should. And that makes it even more exciting for some of these other teams and people looking at their franchise and be like, oh, I hope my team goes and tries to go and get Russell Wilson right now.
Washington football team.
Oh, my goodness. It's scary. No, I don't want to hear any of that, but yeah. So, I mean, that's something to look forward to in the upcoming weeks here, but we'll see. But that's going to be different for the
New York Giants?
Yeah, I hope so. But who knows? Yeah, I'd rather not see the Washington football team. But I'll tell you what something I'm really excited about, though, is Mohawk Honda. That's right. Joe, he knows I work right there in Glenville.
Drives by it all the time.
I drive by Mohawk Honda all the time. Right now, they're
He even waves when he drives by.
The KBB ICO. It's a Kelly Blue Book. It's a cash offer. And what it is, they're going to put cash in your hand the day that they see you there. You bring your vehicle in. They'll give you an estimate right there. They can put cash in your hand right there. So all you college students out there, you need some extra cash. Get rid of that ride, get it right there, and then go find yourself something else. But you know what? You don't need to go anywhere else. Stay there at Mohawk Honda because they have hundreds of fully stocked, loaded pre-owns, new vehicles there, right there. They're always stocked up. Like I said,
they got a ton of cars.
And yeah, it's fully loaded. Not just Hondas, but other ones.
Used cars. They got a bunch of used cars there.
But stop in and say hi to Greg Johnson. Absolutely. He's the assistant manager there. And you've got Jake Hot Sauce Doyle and Louis, the VIP man Morales. And there's many other. Cam McKenna's there, too. Brian McKenna, his dad's there. He's one of the sales guys there, too. And the thing is, too, what we're telling you about these guys' names because, they're like a family there. It's owned by the Harridan family. They're a locally owned and operated establishment, like not a big, store, junk, all over the place. You find it. Yes, you find it in all these different states. They're there, but you know what? They're big around here because they are able to get bigger and open up other stores here and there because they take care of you there. You're not just somebody that comes in here, sell you a car, and get the hell out. They tell you who these people are. The managers, the sales people are there all the time. And are there for a long time. It's not like they get this guy's new, what's his name? They're there, they're working with you, and they do what they do best. So go there, check out their vast selection of Honda certified pre-owned vehicles. They've got the Kelly Blue Book instant cash offer, Mohawk Honda in Scotia Glenville, where they go out of their way to please you. That's right, Joe.
Excellent. I like it. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think I might stop by Mohawk.
You should.
I think
Why
I
not?
might.
I think I might go this Friday too and see what I can do with my van. Maybe I want a truck right now. I need to load a lot of different things now. So maybe I'll just see what they got, see what they offer. I know they're going to give me the top of the line for my vehicle, but we'll see what I can do.
Yeah, you're going to do better than anywhere else.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what I'm going to tell you.
That is absolutely true there. So all right. So next up. I've added this segment, too. This particular year, we've had a lot of different players that perform, and then they don't, and things like that.
They disappear.
And what's funny is looking at the different players, when I'm trying to find these guys, I even looked for one this particular week, and there's a lot of even players that I maybe even overlooked that were playing so badly. Because I was looking at some that I was just like, yeah, well, how they're doing right now? Well, they did okay, but in week 3, when I even picked this guy that was really bad, they were a stinker then too. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, I could have used them even then. So, but it was kind of tough for me this week again. But that's right. Oh, excuse me. So here we go. I'm going to give you my milk carton missing player
of the week.
The week. That's right.
Who is it? Oh!
It's no other than Daniel Jones. And I feel bad about giving it to Daniel Jones, too.
Oh,
Because
Danny Dimes.
he's coming back from a concussion. So I hear you there, and I didn't want to. Which I didn't want him to play either. Because, again, I think it was like 4 days is too early to kind of come back from it. But, like, oh, he's cleared to go.
Yeah, right.
Because he was, when you're stumbling and fumbling, you're ready. He's got your clock cleaned.
I thought for sure he was going to be labeled with a concussion.
Especially when you've got Aaron Donald and the Rams that are fighting right there on the other side of you. I mean, why would you go through some more punishment?
Send in the rag doll.
Yeah, and like I said, I looked at some other guys, Miles Sanders and some others, how they performed. I'm like, yeah, they really had a worse week this week. Like Miles Sanders, I think week 3 had like 30 yards and like 4 touches. It was terrible. But so I looked at it this week. Daniel Jones, he was probably the worst of the worst at this point. He was 29 for 51, 57%. He hasn't thrown that bad this season at all. And for a guy that looked like he was trending upwards, and it's sad, and maybe the concussion was a problem with it all here, and looking at how he had performed, because up until then, he had 4 touchdowns and only 1 interception, and he was getting 300-plus yards. He was looking good for some fantasy owners.
He was light, I was just going to say.
And then enters this game where he has 3 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. He got sacked 4 times. You can't blame him all the way after that. That's the offensive line. But then he also fumbled 2 more times, where we're talking again about controlling the football. And what does he do? Nothing but turn it over in this game. And even early on, they were kind of keeping it close in that particular game with the Rams in a bit. But then you give those teams like that, like the Rams, opportunities to come back and on those turnovers. That's when they just pummeled the crap out of them. And then you saw early on, it wasn't even later on, they were like, oh, we're just defeated. It just got ugly. Really, they were my good, bad, and ugly. Last week, they were my ugly. I didn't think it could get worse, but it was uglier this week.
That was
just every score that the Rams were putting on them. I'm just like, oh, just leave them alone, and just stop it, But yeah, Daniel Jones, he's got to be my milk carton missing player of the week. He was, and
that was a good one.
And what's funny is if you look at some of these guys. I want to say it's Hanzus that came out with a guy, but it might not be. But these NFL analysts that come out with stories all the time, you see Rosenthal and these other guys, and their power rankings and all that stuff. And it says, like, I just got a text earlier on, and it says, like, Daniel Jones moves up a spot, and this is in his ranking of quarterbacks, and he projected to do well and bounce back this week. And it's like, how did somebody play that poorly and move up a spot in any kind of ranking? I really don't get it. And what are some of these guys doing when they write some of this stuff? I swear they just want you to click that and be like, what the F is this guy talking about? And then you're like, that is nonsense. Why did I just give him another click? Damn it.
They want you to feed into the bullshit.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
They want you to argue.
They want you to just feed into it.
I'll tell you what, we've gotten listeners that way, though. You know that? We've gotten listeners by some of those groups from NFL and stuff like that, and some of those posts that they disagreed, and then we disagreed, and they're like, we bring up this point, and they said that's a valid point. And we said, by the way, we have a show. And like, we'll check out that show.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have honest opinions. But
we don't we don't stuff the bullshit down your throat. We are giving to give you our honest opinion, and we are interactive. So you guys can reach out to us, comment down below. Don't be shy. We will talk about anything. It doesn't have to be anything that we got running through the show. It could be anything.
Bring up a different topic. Mike Tackett does that all the time. Right. And nice, good points. And
it could be about your team. It could be about a player. It could be about a possible trade. It could be about fantasy. It could be about anything related to football. We welcome you all here. I just want to take a moment right here to thank everybody that does support us and follow us on any podcasts that you guys might listen into, because we are across the board on podcasts. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, we are there. Go and make sure you follow us on there. Really appreciate all you guys' help as well. And don't forget, listen, if you love the video, you like the show, you like to interact, head over to YouTube or Facebook. Search us up, Football on the No Show. Hit the subscribe button to lock it in. Notification bell to let you know when we go live. And you can also follow us on Twitter at FB_no.
All right, yeah. And you know what you could do right now, too, is, Joe, we're super excited, and we're thanking people.
What are we doing?
Why don't we thank our sponsors from Johnstone Supply? That's right. And tell all of our members out there about Johnstone Supply in Troy.
Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York, 6th Avenue. Get down there if you need any kind of needs that you if you have a house, you have an apartment, you have anything, you need help with the furnace, you need to change the filters out.
Oh, Mike Tackett knows. It's
You
getting
can
cold
do-
up here in New
you
York
can do
right now.
all
It's
that
going
kind
to
of
get
stuff.
cold.
Listen, winter is almost here, everybody. Does your furnace need to be replaced? Maybe.
I think
or
so.
are you looking to upgrade your heating system? Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York can make sure your home stays warm right through all these cold months that we're like slowly going through right now. A family-owned and operated business, Johnstone Supply in Troy, has been helping upstate New York residents for decades. You can visit their store on 6th Avenue in Troy, New York for more information on how they can help you this fall into winter, whether it's finding the proper change for your filters or making sure your home is heated properly. Johnson Supply in Troy staff can help you answer any kind of questions you may have. From George to Tom and the rest of the staff, they're looking forward to seeing you. Follow them on Facebook or call them today at 518-272-5922. Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York on 6th Avenue. Check them out.
Check them out or check them out online. That's right. All right. So, Joe, we used to do this segment a while ago when we were talking about certain teams, if we're buying and what they're doing or selling stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to switch it up this time.
Okay.
It's called buy or sell.
Or trade.
Or trade. But that's the whole thing. And this is what we're talking about with these guys. And so now the trade deadline's coming up. Week 8 is the last week to trade here for teams.
Close.
You know, so it's the next week. But right now, a lot of this, the talk that's been going on. What should some of these teams do? There's a few that are on the cusp, a couple around 500, and so I think this team needs that. That team should do this and that, and I think one of your teams even out there, if you guys are watching, you probably see this. You're like, oh man, if we only had this one other guy, if we went out and traded and added this guy, this would maybe help get us to a point. Or we should say maybe we should just hit the emergency escape hatch right now and just start selling right now. Go
Sell.
And that's the thing. A lot of people have said that about the Giants, but I mean they're so injury riddled right now too. It's like, who are you gonna trade or whatever, especially when they're already injured. Like, here we got this guy sitting on IR right now. Do you think you guys would want him? You know, it's like, and then Sterling Shepard comes back. Like, you guys want him now? You know, like what are you gonna do? But what are some teams out there right now, Joe? I think even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've had injuries there at the secondary. They've tried to go out and they got Richard Sherman too, and then he even got injured like the first week back in.
What happens when you don't practice in the off season? You just come cold turkey into the season.
But that's going to be a weakness for their team.
And that's what I feel like a lot of people need to pay close attention to. Is like, it's okay to go and sign a veteran free agent, but just be prepared if they can't last all the season because they've been out. You know what I mean? They haven't. I mean, they might have still been working out this whole time to stay in shape, but it's not football shape. You know, it's a little bit different. So when they come in like this, like cold turkey into the regular season, they kind of get this like like a speed round. You know what I mean? Of learning the playbook, and then they want you out there as soon as possible. And their bodies might not be ready. If not, they definitely are not ready to last all season and do the grind there. So that's why you're seeing guys like Richard Sherman now injured. Now he's going to be out for several weeks. And guys that do get signed like that and they get thrust into that starting lineup, maybe they're not going to hack it. Maybe they're not going to last all season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when I looked at them, I'm like, maybe they could trade for a corner. I mean, but what other ones are out there? It's tough, but they would need somebody. But, I mean, who else is even out there in free agency right now? So, it's tough to come by. But
I mean, there's slim pickings now at corner. Like, I mean, DJ Hayden is out there, guys like that. Like, guys that aren't going to, like, come in and be, like, shut down starter, you know what I mean, lockdown starters. So whenever you're taking in a corner at this point, like I like the signing by Tampa Bay with Richard Sherman. I mean, it was a need, and he came in and he played relatively well for them, but short term. Now he's injured. When he comes back, is he going to be able to stay healthy the rest of the season? You know, so there's a lot of questions with that going forward. And until they maybe get some guys healthy back, they're going to go through this whole musical chairs.
And, I mean, I brought this scenario up to you off air, but I'll just do it again here just for to kind of bring it up in conversation and discussion. But and I'll give you my reasoning kind of through it all. But I thought maybe Tampa Bay should use Mike Evans as trade bait and maybe look at the Eagles and try and get Darius Slay from them, because they have even a lot of cap space. So even if they wanted to try and re-sign Mike Evans to a bigger deal, that it gives them another offensive weapon for them instead of just trying to utilize Jalen Reagor over there. And yes, they'll lose on the defense there, but it's an older corner, and that'll help out the Bucs right now. And the Bucs will also probably get a pick also as well, even a decently high pick for Mike Evans as well, and giving up Darius Slay. So then even the Buccaneers can still have that trade pick, or that pick right there in the upcoming drafts to help get some more youth on that team, just because right now overall they're a pretty high-aged team, I think, as far as the offense goes. But I think it would help both situations, because I think that's the one thing that's kind of missing for Philadelphia. I think they're still getting that front four or so is really good, and they're getting pressure on defense and things, but I think they could sacrifice that little bit just to help get that offense going, because it seems like, for me, Jalen Hurts keeps running around and trying to make plays on his own again, and it kind of looks like you said, especially when we're looking at almost like backyard football.
Yeah.
It just, all right, no, look like that's going, I'm just taking off and whatever.
Here's something really strange to me is that, you have a weapon in the backfield like Miles Sanders, who's a receiving threat more than he is just straight up running the ball, and they don't use him.
And the funny thing is, when they use him, like, They use him and he does well, and they put him back away again.
Yeah, what are they
it's
doing?
Like, how is that part of your
and you know something? We saw more from when Doug Peterson was the coach, right? And he was running the offense. He heavily used Miles Sanders, and it worked out really well for them. And that was with no offensive line. Now they have a fairly healthy offensive line. Plus, Lance Johnstone comes back this week.
Johnstone.
But they like their young receivers. They've invested a lot in these young receivers and these draft picks and everything. So I don't see them moving on to get another receiver, which isn't like something going forward. It's almost like if they were to pull off a Mike Evans trade, they were going to trade away Darius Slay, which is already a need. I just don't see it happening. I don't think it lines up for either team. Like, yeah, Tampa Bay could unload Mike Evans, sure, because he's going to look for a big contract in the near future. But they get a cornerback help for this year. But that's not long term. I mean, he's getting older there. They don't want a guy to bring in when they already have guys. Yes, they're injured right now. A couple of them are, but I feel like this kind of a trade. It's almost. It just doesn't. It's not beneficial enough for both teams going forward. The Eagles, on the Eagles side, I know they invested in those young receivers. They believe in them. I don't think they would make a trade like this, especially making their secondary even weaker. Because let's be honest, Darius Slay is the strongest part of that secondary. Right. If they unloaded him, they have no defense really. They got a D-line. It's pretty darn good, but they're weak at linebacking core, and they already have kind of an unsettled secondary. You remove him, and then anybody can throw on that thing.
I tell you what, though, too, if you wanted to, and they just got rid of Zach Ertz. Yep. I know Goddard was injured, and then they're so thin on tight end. Do you think Tampa Bay would move a tight end over to them because they have some to spare?
I think, yeah, for sure. I think the guy that is kind of like on the outside looking in Tampa Bay is O.J. Howard. That guy was drafted high by that team.
Expectations, too.
With a lot of expectations, but they never really used him. So how can you already kind of dismiss him, and not really utilize him to see what he truly has? Like, we've seen him. Tom Brady's thrown a touchdown pass to him this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he was wide open. He made the play. He ran a good route, caught the ball, touchdown, everything. So the guy isn't like he's inept on making plays. It's just like we haven't seen enough from him on the football field to gauge how good he could be. Because he's like, I think he's like fourth string. I mean, Cameron Brate definitely, jumped him on that third rotation there. So I would definitely think that O.J. Howard would be on the trade block. I would think that they would be open to it, and it's something that doesn't cost anything to get him. And he's a young player. He's still young.
Yeah.
So you're getting potential, a young player. Why not make that move? And you don't have to give up anything. Like, you probably could give up a 7th-round pick just to get him because they don't really believe in him as it is, and they get something for him. So that might work.
Yeah, and I only brought up the trade, too, just because, again, if you look at cap space, Eagles are right there. And at this point, I mean, do they try and make a run at this division? Because it looks like it's the Cowboys' division to really lose. And what else are you going to get out of it? Do you think you'll be able to make a wild card spot with some of the way these NFC teams are playing?
I'll tell you right
now, the NFC is playing better than the AFC straight up. Yeah. And they all have better records. So, I mean, it's going to be tough, I think, to get into the playoffs in the NFC.
I wouldn't say that the NFC is by far large and bounds better than the AFC. AFC's got a lot more parity than the NFC.
Yeah, I can hear you there.
So we still, even going into Week 7, there's not a clear picture yet.
Oh, that's
like
true.
There's a couple teams that are starting to pull away, like Green Bay's 5-1. You know what I mean? And
the Arizona Cardinals,
Baltimore Ravens, like they're starting to look like themselves again. So it's like there's teams out there that are starting to get back in the groove of things that look like the playoff caliber teams, but there's still a hell of a lot more football to play. And depending on how each team's schedule is for the rest of the way, it could be really hard, it could be really easy. So there's a lot of variables that still have to play out. In order to kind of get that nailed down. But to say the least, like for Philly, it doesn't make sense to me. I would say if Philly was close to Dallas, like if they had a close record with Dallas and that one trade could maybe put them over the hump, maybe they do it, and why not? But at this point, it's like realistically, if you're a GM of the Eagles and you're like, well, we can pull off one trade, what do we do? I think they've already invested in their youth at receiver. They love Devonta Smith. They just drafted him. They got Jalen Reagor, who they don't. And that's the thing, too, is just like you were saying and like we talked about last week about it's kind of like a backyard football team on offense. Jalen Reagor doesn't get utilized hardly at all. Like, he's in some place, and then he's out on the sideline and others.
Well, that's the thing. It seems
it's like
he doesn't get the ball to him, and he'll take off and make a play running, and then just give it to the tight end if he's open.
But even Reagor caught a touchdown last week, and it's like then he was on the sideline for like the next 4 plays. It's like, what is Nick Sirianni doing? This new coaching staff, it almost seems like this new coaching staff doesn't know what to do with the talent they have. It's almost like they still don't have an identity on offense. Nobody knows what this offense is capable of still. They have a healthier offensive line. They decided on their quarterback, who happens to be a mobile guy. And you got a lot of young, still developing receivers. And going forward, it looks like they have no run game either.
Well, that's the thing. They don't allow themselves to, because I think they
don't run.
Like, if they decide to run, they are able to get some chunk plays. Because if you even look at some of the yardage per attempt, they're doing fairly well. It's just they don't stick with it.
No.
So then that's the thing. You'll face these teams, and then all they'll do is try and pressure the quarterback. Right. And he's still raw. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he only barely
he's still
had
developing.
A few games he played last year.
Yeah.
So this is technically his rookie year.
Yeah, he had
still.
3 games last year.
Yeah, so this is it, and he's still making some of those rookie mistakes, staring down some receivers, running into the blitz or the pressure, things like that, bonehead mistakes that he's going to kind of just work through.
And that's the thing, is like this Eagles team is still like in transition. It still is. Like we some I know Eagles fans, I know some people had kind of like a little bit of high hopes for Philly this year because, we've decided on our quarterback. We're moving on from Wentz, and Jalen Hurts going to be our guy. He's mobile. He's all this. But then you have a lot of young, whether it be Devonta Smith as a rookie, or Jalen Reagor in his second year, or these other guys like, what's his name? Like, I think it's Watkins is his last name. Like he's another receiver that's still developing, very young. Like their whole receiving core is extremely young. So they have to groom them and at the same time grooming their quarterback and still trying to figure out what kind of offense they want to run. And it's okay. If they didn't want to run the ball traditionally like the Eagles have done in the past, that's fine. We've seen the Patriots utilize the short little drop-off game to running backs and let the running backs run with the ball in open space to kind of utilize that as a running play. But we're not even seeing that from them. So going forward, I feel like the Eagles are going to continually struggle on offense, and the defense just isn't 100% just yet. So that alone, depending on the opponent that they play, they're going to struggle from time to time.
Yeah, and then I was looking at a list today of teams that should probably buy in and teams that should sell, and some of them were head scratchers. If you're looking at first of all, let's look at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
We understand what's wrong with the Chiefs. Yes, their defense is not as good as
right.
It wasn't even spectacular. They played at a higher level, I think, the past couple seasons than really what they were expected to be. Let's be honest with you there. And their corners are suspect. And they're lining up Chris Jones in the wrong particular spot too as well. So that's been a problem for them. And so now they looked at them. They should be buyers. Well, what are you going to buy when you don't have cap money? That team has only restructured Patrick Mahomes' contract so much to where it needed to be. But then just Travis Kelce redid his and a few others trying to make it work the best they can. You can only thin out the money so much where I think they have like $2 million. Was it $2.8 million to throw around right now?
And guess what's
what
going to happen?
What are you buying? What are you trying to do with there? What, a trade? Would you a pick for a player to be straight up just a pick? Like, what are you getting out of it? What are you going to be allowed to go get? Especially because you said even – who else on the market is going to give up whatever corners that they might have that are actually healthy?
I mean, you look at the corners that recently got traded. Stephon Gilmore just got traded to the Panthers. They jumped the gun there, and they got him. Kudos to the I don't even know who Carolina's
GM is. It looks like he's going to
is.
end up being able to play this particular week, too.
He's practicing. He'll be able to practice right now. Don't know if he's going to be able to go get thrusted in this week. I know they want him to be, but he's got to be ready. As far as the defensive calls out there, I think he'll do a great job of learning the defense relatively quickly. But how quick can he learn it by this coming week? So, and at the very least, he could be in on a few plays. You know what I mean? If he doesn't learn the whole playbook, maybe he can be in a few plays or a certain formation and what have you. But then also, again, Carolina Panthers pulled another trigger on a trade for a corner in C.J. Henderson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they got him first dibs on him. So Carolina, they saw there was a weakness. They made the first trade with C.J. Henderson. They go out and get him, not for a lot. I mean, I think it was a third-round pick and a tight end. I say not a lot, but third-round pick's a pretty nice draft pick to grab. But, again, a really young player, a guy that's still developing, a guy that can definitely play well in that Carolina Panthers defense of scheme. And then they turn around and they get another corner, a veteran corner who's one of the best to do it, and Stephon Gilmore now is with the Carolina Panthers. That defense, that secondary, and they also got Dante Jackson last week, who lit one of the receivers up, and Justin Jefferson. He had a great game, and now it looks like you're still sticking with that kind of young movement that that they initially started with draft picks and free agents. They're one of the youngest teams in football. And Gilmore looks like he's the oldest guy on that defense at this point. But man. They pulled off 2 big trades for those corners. Now it's like, what other corner is left? What other corner could you pull from a team? Now, when you're looking about trades, you got to have a partner who will be willing to trade with you. So that's another big hurdle. Like, you could call any team right now and be like, hey, could we get Kyle Fuller from you guys? No, we need him. Like the Chiefs.
Right.
Like
right.
that could be a thing. But, again, Chiefs need corners.
Yeah.
They don't want to give up another veteran like Kyle Fuller and now they got 2 holes at cornerback. So it's like, really, does it make sense for teams like maybe the Chiefs, maybe Green Bay, maybe a few of these teams that I know were on, in articles like, hey, maybe they should be buyers. Well, why? Because what are they going to give up? Teams are looking at cornerbacks right now. There's a lot of demand for that cornerback position right now in a trade. There's a lot of demand for offensive line, and I just don't see too many teams being willing to give up those positions right now. So teams like the Chiefs, I don't know if they can. I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. Maybe draft picks to kind of. But again, like you were just saying, the Chiefs have what, $2 million? Under the cap?
$2.8 million.
So whatever player they're going to go after, if they were going to, it'd have to be like $1.5 million tops that they're going to take on in a contract. So
Yeah, because then you got to look at it. Say offensive weapons. You know, they're thicker, kind of on offense. At least wide receivers. Like
right.
who you get? You're not
Cole Hardman.
Yeah. So
like that would have to be one of the.
Yeah, but he doesn't even make a whole lot either. So you're not really shedding a whole lot of weight on cap space there either.
Oh no,
so,
but
you're trying to do a fair trade.
If you're going for draft
player
picks,
for player, then it would have to be.
There's no way that doesn't happen.
That's the only thing they would do. But draft pick isn't going to help him at this point.
Well, no, it'll help him for the future.
So that's what you're doing. And right now, I don't think they want to plan for the future. They think they want to try and get back into this division.
But they can't get what they want is the bottom line.
Exactly. That's why that whole thing was kind of confusing for me because it sounds good. Like these guys should buy. Yeah, they should. But if you don't have the money to go buy, I should go buy a car right now because I can probably use one because mine's not working very well.
Yeah, right.
But do I have to get the money to buy it?
You know what they should have done?
No, I don't.
I mean, because, contracts are contracts, and guess what? It's only going to get worse for Kansas City going forward. Tyreek Hill's deal is up in 2022. And that boy is going to ask for a ton of money. Mm-hmm. Back up the Brinks truck because that guy's going to command a lot of money, and it's going to be more than $2 million. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that right now. So they could have unloaded Travis Kelce in that trade. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Chiefs could have got rid of that contract. I understand Kelce, but Kelce is also older.
Yeah.
So eventually he's not going to play football forever. So if they were to be able to move him to, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars and get C.J. Henderson or something, that might have been a move that they could have done, and it would have helped out the team. Because honestly, like they have so many weapons, they don't need them all.
Yeah,
and that's what you're going to have to do if you're the Chiefs or a team like the Chiefs, like Tampa Bay, even. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you giving up? Mm-hmm. Because it's got to be something worthwhile for the other team.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you look at it in that aspect, I think Tyreek Hill's got to be the trigger that you pull on that one. Just because, yes, he is a great player, but you know what? He's been kind of locked down this year. He hasn't been able to get that explosive because teams have kind of figured out the Chiefs with that and try and kept him in check. So he's been able to dish it off to Travis Kelce and some other players out there, Mayfield, Hardman,
but that's the thing.
Pringle, things like that. So you could still utilize with that Andy Reid offense. He's done it with less before.
Yes, he has.
So I mean, you could do that, and then with that value of that player, and then shed some of that contract.
Right.
You could be able to get some of those things, the pieces that you need.
True, but you'd only get one piece. You're not going to get like a couple of guys for Tyreek Hill. They just don't do those trades anymore. That's way back in the 70s and stuff they would do that. But Tyreek Hill, he does so much for this offense. Even if he doesn't get the ball, he's taking 2 defenders by himself. Easy. Mm-hmm. So what does that do? It leaves Travis Kelce wide open. It leaves maybe Byron Pringle open. It leaves Cole Hardman open. So he does more for that offense despite not getting the ball. So, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. But at the same time, I don't see them getting rid of one of their best weapons who's still fairly young.
Mm-hmm. Here he goes. Mike Tackett says, biggest problem in KC right now is Jackson Mahomes, complete dickhead for dancing on Sean Taylor's number.
Absolutely. I was completely appalled by that. That was absolutely like disrespectful. It was a bunch of bullshit. He should have been shot. I mean, in that.
Yeah,
I mean, come on,
and
honestly. And then he comes back and he said, "Oh, I apologize after doing it." You know what I mean? I apologize to all the Washington fans. I didn't mean anything by dancing on. What do you mean? Do you see the chain? Do you see the chain that's around the number? Why were you inside the chain?
They walked over
dancing.
The chain. Well,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It was him. Check this out. It was him. It was Patrick Mahomes' wife. It was Travis Kelce's girlfriend. They all, you could see it in video, go right over the chain, get into that area, and they were doing TikToks.
Right.
And not only all just him dancing, but TikToks videos of this and this. Like it was a big freaking deal. And look at me.
Right.
And I hate to sound like the old guy, like kind of thing, like kind of this, but
get
this
off
is
my lawn.
But this is like what this kind of generation's kind of doing right now, and it's freaking annoying as hell. And that's why I'm not even on TikTok and shit.
So
like
Mike just said, he goes,
dumb as fuck.
Per his Twitter account, I want to sincerely apologize for accidentally being on the Sean Taylor number 21 at FedEx Field. We are directed to stand in that area, and I meant absolutely no disrespect to him or his family. Bullshit.
You were
absolute
to
bullshit,
stand
bro.
in the area around
like,
it.
are you kidding me? Yeah, you were directed
square.
to stand around it, not to stand in it.
Yeah,
and then do your stupid ass TikToks on there.
Yeah, that's
complete.
What I mean.
That is utter.
Somebody film it while he stopped.
That is utter
planned move.
Complete disrespect. It doesn't matter what you say or apologize or anything. There's no reason for it. Come on, man.
Yeah, because you know what is also happening? Not only just hate because they don't care about that, because they always say, bad business is good business or whatever, is a bad media is good business or whatever. Everybody knows who this Jackson Mahomes is. I think a lot of people didn't even know. That he had a brother named Jackson or whoever, this and that. And now probably people just checking out his Twitter right now or whatever, and this and his TikTok
bitching him out now.
And see him. And, just to call him out. But he's getting a lot more views on this video and this and that and all that other shit. And that's the thing that really bothers me again, because this is what people go to do. If a moment happens, they go and try and plan the moment about themselves and just not even accepting the moment for what it is and making something bigger for themselves instead of something else, because you're there, you're at the game, you're right next to Sean Taylor's number right there that they retired. That's a moment for the Washington football team, but you take it upon yourself and say, hey, you don't want to be
draw
a cool
attention
idea
to yourself.
Where I would go. I'm going to go do a dance over here, and this is going to set people. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be electric. And you know how many views I'm going to get.
I can't
this
wait.
Is great. So, again, the me mentality, and I can't stand it. It's ridiculous, and this is where a lot of people do it, and it takes focus off of the real thing that's going on. And also, like I said, there's other moments going on within that game, and you take that moment and you ruin it just to do something selfish upon yourself. So for you to take selfies around it and all this other junk and blah, 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 I think that's just the wrong thing to do. Everybody's hating on him. Like I said, I didn't even know who Jackson Mahomes was until I saw this whole thing and stuff.
Jackson Mahomes, go fuck off. How about that?
There you go.
You fucking punk.
Oh, man. So there you go. And then, there's a couple other things that are making news out there. What about that Tony Romo thing that I shared about Tony Romo on the air during the Patriots game? The Patriots, every year they take breast cancer survivors and they treat them to a spa day, basically. They're like, here you go. You survived cancer, blah, blah, blah. We love you, women. Here you go. Here's a day just for you because, again, you've beat cancer. You're a survivor. Have your day. And Tony Romo says, oh, man, I would love a spa day,
Come
this
on,
blah, blah,
bro.
blah. And then him and Jim Nantz start doing this back and forth, busting on each other. He's saying something like Jim Nantz, likes to knit and things like that. And then Tony Romo likes to paint his nails and you need a spa
like little
day
kids.
and do a pedicure and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, you guys totally took the wrong opportunity to try and do whatever you're doing with each other and made a mockery out of what is being recognized here on the field and something that's a great feat for the survivors alone, but honoring, their fight that they have been through and making kind of putting on notice because the crucial catch, especially about this season, is how many misdiagnoses happened last year because of COVID. Mm-hmm. People who maybe thought they had felt something or whatever were told, do not go to the hospital. Because, again, it was such a rich thing of COVID being there that you could maybe contract something, you could bring it there or whatever. And if there wasn't a medical emergency at this point, we're having COVID or whatever. I mean, they even canceled emergency certain surgeries and stuff like that. So some people that already planned on getting a surgery couldn't do it because of the issues with COVID. So now you have cancer and other people that saw maybe other symptoms or a slight little pain here and there that they're like, it's just some pain. And then finally they're able to go to the hospital now, get it checked out, and something far worse. And for this to happen on national television and it just be kind of a mockery of the whole thing by Jim Nantz is pretty well off. He's not Tony Romo and some of these other guys that have played in the NFL and made some serious
Jim Nantz
overall.
is a dipshit.
But both of them can go get a manicure and a spa day whenever they feel like. They're buying it for their wives all the time, too, I'm sure, as well, or whatever. To say, I wish, the Patriots would pretty much give me one. That would be nice to get a free one every now and then. I'm like, come on. You're out of sight. That's about self-awareness, being self-aware of what this situation is. And that people are watching you. Millions of people on the air right now.
Millions of people.
Millions of millions. That's right. So that was another mockery if you want to talk about the problem that's going on in Kansas City here. But far as looking at some of the teams that are buying and selling, again, like Joe said, it's tough to kind of see.
You need a partner.
You really need a partner, and some of them don't make sense. They had brought up the New Orleans Saints. Saints, again, hurting. They just, this season, in the offseason before it started, were able to get back to the plus side in money. I don't think, again, with whatever trade you're going to do, first, you got to find that partner, and it's got to be within that cap where they have again, only about 1 million, 1.8 million, just under 2 million to kick around.
I mean, the
so
Saints,
they can't even get some players here. I mean, they just
when you have that low of money, you're just better off going to free agent pool and just trying to work out somebody and maybe bring them in. Maybe they make a difference, and if they don't, I mean,
and some of these other teams that are maybe you think that should sell some guys, they have some room and they have picks, and they're not going to give up a pick even and things like that. The
teams up to this point that should be selling are the teams like Houston. They should be selling, and they've done that.
And they've done
through the course.
What else do they have to sell?
Brandon Cooks,
running back. Right.
Brandon Cooks is the most valuable player they have right now that they could probably trade and get draft picks because, let's face it, they're going to need a lot of them going forward because they've basically gotten rid of. This team has changed well over. Tyrod Taylor, when he comes back healthy, trade him too. Yeah, I mean, just trade anybody that you possibly can at this point because your franchise is in such disarray right now that you just need to start over. I mean, you already got the brand new coaching staff. Deshaun Watson doesn't want to come back and play for you, wants to be traded, and without Watson, you have no you have no backbone on the team. So Brandon Cooks, listen, I'm sorry, Brandon, but I know you've been traded to almost every single football team at this point. But maybe you need a change of environment because Houston should just start building up on draft picks at this point. Like Whitney Merciless, I'm surprised. Like I know they tried to trade him and maybe they couldn't get any suitors because nobody wanted to give up a draft pick. But they end up cutting him this week. And in 24 hours time, he signed with Green Bay.
The Green Bay Packers.
Once again, the Green Bay Packers making a splash in free agency with guys being cut. Jalen Smith was one of those casualties for the Dallas Cowboys. And he ends up getting scooped up by Green Bay. So they're making moves, and they're making the right ones, too. So for teams that need help in those areas and stuff, they should have jumped out and got one of those players, quicker than Green Bay. I honestly cannot believe how fast those guys signed because they're both good players, and I thought there'd be a lot more tug-of-war, like a battle between trying to get them. So kudos to Green Bay's front office.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. And, so if anything, it's got to be somehow Houston, and if they could pull the trigger on Deshaun Watson or whatever they're going to do there, that would be it.
Right. Any team that is in the losing, like majorly losing category, you know what I mean? So, like, you look at the AFC North right now, it's still kind of even except for the Ravens. 5-1, second team with the Bengals are 4-2, then 3-3 and 3-3. Browns and Steelers. So, I don't think there's like really anything that you need to like go crazy over. But Jaguars, let's take a look at the Jaguars here. They're 1-5, just like the Texans. Should they be sellers? They're young. They're like kind of like reinventing themselves. Maybe they could move on from a couple of the veteran offensive linemen that they have. I'm surprised that Mercedes Lewis is still playing. They're definitely going to be able to trade him, but maybe DJ Chark. Maybe they could get some value for him or something like that. And then defensively, they still got to revamp that. Miles Jack, who has been from day one, has been with Jacksonville. Maybe it's time. Maybe move on from Miles Jack and get some big compensation for him.
Here, look at Mike Tackett says, we got this Seattle Seahawks starting DB asking to be cut mid-season. People trying to cancel Terry Bradshaw, Tony Romo, and Jackson Mahomes, both being douchebags, and Bill Belichick getting beat up in the locker room. One hell of a week 6. Can't wait for week 7.
All right, and this is why we watch the game.
It is. It is. So,
but and I know like the Jets have been brought up because they're 1-4, and I know the Dolphins have been brought up in terms of maybe selling. But listen, those are teams that are going through a transition right now of rebuilding. The last thing they want to do is getting rid of players.
Some of the guys that they're
maybe at the very least they get rid of veterans that they have that they want to get rid of that money, like maybe a C.J. Mosley who still holds some value, but that's a big contract. Maybe you get rid of him or something like that. And then other than that, I mean that's pretty much for the AFC. If we look at the NFC. Sorry, Giants.
Oh yeah,
right
the
now,
Giants
1-5.
They should be selling all day long, but what are they?
They should be selling, but don't sell the young guys that you had still developing.
Right.
Nate Solder, like there's teams right now still looking for a right tackle, and he's got a big contract. So get rid of that contract, get rid of it. Maybe you get a halfway decent pick, maybe a 5th rounder at the most, something. in that category. And then you look at, well, I wouldn't say Seattle just yet, or 49ers are 2-3. 0-6 Lions. But they're rebuilding.
They're rebuilding.
So what would they really get rid of?
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, they can't do it right now, but I would have traded Taylor Decker, the left tackle, before he got injured, because that guy is just an injury waiting to happen.
It is.
And they could have got maybe some value there.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I would say that's the only team really in the NFC besides the Giants. But, again, you got to have a trade partner. You got to have another team willing to give you something that you want, and both sides got to agree on it. So it's going to be hard. I don't see a lot of trading going on this year, and I feel that way because of this new IR system that they got in place. Because you can get some guys back after 3 or 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can get them back, 3 or 4 weeks later down the road. It helps that team not have to worry about putting someone IR and then losing them for the year. So I feel like that's the reason why you're not going to see as many trades as normal.
All right, so let's move on to our picks competition, Joe. It's time to do our picks. Week 7 is coming upon us here. It is crazy. This season's going to go by fast before we know it. Blinkens going to be gone.
I don't want it to go by
It's just
fast.
crazy like that. I know Mike Tackett had brought up his record. I think he was saying something. He was like 63-30 or something around there. 63
I can't remember.
and 30.
It was
I think
something
that's
like
what it was
that.
something like that. And so
Mike
let's
will remind
He
us.
will remember. Let's take a look at ours. Here's where we got the competition right now. Joe is 68-28. He is red hot on fire.
I'm okay.
Kicking the shit out of me right now.
It's not going to last long.
I'm hanging in there, Joe. I'm hanging around. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to stay in it. I'm like the Patriots, trying to compete here, stay in it, and then hopefully maybe just kind of maybe have a bad week. But you know what? Maybe I don't know. It's sad that I use it in that type of reference, like hanging in there to try.
How
to keep
dare
up,
you?
But it's been good. And you know what? And that's the thing. It's not like I'm like, oh man, my picks have been horrible. It's
no,
just
you've
that
been good picks.
I've been
Look at
doing
you're
good
64 and
picks.
32.
Exactly, but yours have been outstanding, and you're picking amazingly. It's awesome. It's
only
like
a
that
few
Joe
games.
Guru is there. Here he is. He's got the aura. 14 wins, 13 wins. It's just crazy right now, despite all the nonsense. Because even after all said and done, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't even know how these games are going to go, but I could see it going this way.
Yeah,
and we've been really lucky, I think, on the sense of how some of it has been going. Yeah. Mike Tackett says, if the season were to end now, the Eagles would be picking at 3, 9, and 11 in the first round.
Yeah, they have 3 first-rounders.
Maybe the Eagles could use that as leverage to get a blockbuster deal done. He's 63-30. That's what it's 63-30. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, so he's there in the mix. He was talking about possibly, show all of our picks all together, know-it-alls and things like that. He's
Deshaun
right there
Watson.
in the mix too. But who knows? Yeah, that's what. Oh, yeah, you always hear. all the.
But here's my.
But they're in on this guy. They're in on this guy.
If you're Deshaun Watson, would you want to go to the Eagles?
Right.
I mean, think
does
about.
he have the no trade clause, or does he have to release on any of that? I mean, I don't know if he does in that deal. So it kind of would you have to go wherever he needed to go. You know what I mean? Or else they probably would.
Because I've heard reports that Watson, if he didn't want to go, I don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't have a no trade clause. I'm not sure. Maybe they have it in there when he was, when he agreed on that deal. Maybe that's because they didn't want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's in there, and he has to agree. But my thing is Eagles, I'm not saying would you want to go there in a bad sense is because they have no offensive line. No, they actually got a halfway decent offensive line, especially when it's healthy.
Right.
And they have young developing weapons, but that offense and how it's called, I mean that.
Right, but even despite that, I think with some of the moves that Jalen Hurts has made, Deshaun Watson is not making no mistakes. And I think some of the closer games they've been in, they're winning those games. And now you're talking about them competing probably in that division.
But I will say this. I don't like how the offense is called. And I feel like that's going to hinder Watson, for him to go there.
He does have a no-trade clause for now. So he can probably let that go if he's able to pick where he wants to go.
Would definitely.
So
that's
there you
how
go.
it would work.
Yeah.
Is he would have to sign off on it and be like, okay, that's fine.
Where we're going.
I'll go here or I'll go there. And we've already heard that Deshaun Watson really likes Miami. I mean, that's one of his destinations that he really, really likes. In fact, that's probably his favorite destination. He gets to, go back to that Florida area.
Here that keeps coming up in these rumors. We heard it again this past couple of hours here.
Listen, we've heard in the last few hours, we've heard an update in saying that a trade could possibly get done by next week. How real is that? We don't know. But I find it extremely hard with this court case still going on and not knowing how bad it's going to be. For whatever team, if a team does pull off a trade now, it can't be. I just honestly, I cannot see it being astronomical blockbuster trade, even though that's what Houston wants. If you're the team getting Watson, honestly, you're willing to take that huge risk and give up whatever Houston wants for compensation just to get him. What's to say that he is guilty? And then now you have to wait to see what the NFL suspension is going to be. We're almost halfway through the year. I can almost guarantee you it's going to be the rest of the season, at least this year. Maybe it's going to be next year too. You don't know. But I mean, given the consistency the NFL gives out punishments, is roll of the dice. So, but again, if you have the utmost confidence in acquiring, there's no reason not to go after him because of his talent. He's amazing. Mm-hmm. But again, it comes down to that really risky situation of what if he is guilty? Then that could be a problem. Then you gave up all these future draft picks and maybe a player or two. I don't know what's going to be involved. And on top of that, now you're sitting on a guy that can't play for you for a little while. So.
Yeah, so what's going to do for you now? Definitely. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Let's get to our picks competition here, Joe. It's fierce. Let's get to the picks. Thursday night, not really a cool game here for us to watch here.
Not cool.
I'll watch the highlights on this one. I don't know if I'll actually sit and watch this one, especially just because the injuries now that have faced the Cleveland Browns. The defense has fallen off a little bit, and then just Baker Mayfield's not right. He's going to be out. You're going to have Case Keenum in there. I think
that's right. Oh, the return of Case Keenum.
Case Keenum, that's right. Skull. And I think he can manage this game
and definitely
play well, absolutely, with the weapons that they still do
and they're
have.
Not gonna,
but the problem is, how are they going to be at the running game?
They have no Nick Chubb. They have no Kareem Hunt. And we don't know how serious Kareem Hunt's injury is right now, but we know for sure he's going to be out several weeks.
Yes.
But those two key components right there not being there. And now they have, I'm trying to remember his name. I think it's Demetric Robinson. Is that the starting
sounds right
running back right now for the Browns? He's a good running back. He's a good tailback. He's shown some flashes when he was given the opportunity a couple years ago. And I like what I saw. He's a tough physical runner, has a little bit of speed. And they also have another the fourth string, I guess, running back at this point. He looks like more like that scat back, that receiving type of back that it seems maybe he fills in for that Kareem Hunt role. He's not going to be as good.
They've got DeErnest Johnson.
DeErnest Johnson.
Yeah.
Wow, I was way off.
Yeah. But then you got Demetric Felton.
The Demetric guy.
That's what it is.
But yeah, he's more the receiving type of back. But I think they'll be able to do okay in the running game. Yeah, obviously they're not going to be as good as like a Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, obviously. And the biggest thing is without Baker Mayfield being there, can Case Keenum, and we know he can manage the game. It's not a question of that, especially if he understands the offense fully. That the big key for this game, I feel like, is Jedrick Wills going to be back for this game? Their left tackle. Because he's missed the last two contests, and it's shown, believe me. If he can return back, that's going to be huge for this offense and for them to continue getting the ball down the field and everything. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a breakout game last week. He was the number one receiver because Odell left the game. Rashard Higgins, he had a pretty good game, solid, but not overall great. And I feel like they're going to need everybody to step up in this game, especially offensively. Defensively, they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. They're in the dog pound. Thursday Night Football. Denver is kind of limping into this game after the Raider game. Teddy Bridgewater hurt his foot. Apparently, he's been missing practice a little bit here and there. I don't know if he practiced fully today or not. But that's got to be a little bit concerning because if you got Drew Lock starting this game, oh boy. And still no Jerry Jeudy yet. They say he's close, but he's just. I think they're going to keep him out this game. And overall, like Denver's defense, we've seen teams being able to do both, run the ball and throw the ball on them at times. So I don't like the uncertainty with Denver. I feel like this is going to be a really close game all the way to the end. I'm going to take Cleveland even though Baker's not going to be there. I feel like Case Keenum might even run this offense better than Baker.
All right, so you're going to take Cleveland on this one.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Seeing Cleveland's at home, this is going to be tough because Case Keenum there. I think I'm going to go with Denver on this one. Depending on, if Teddy Bridgewater is healthy on this one. I think I'm going to take Denver. We'll see, I guess, by start of the game tomorrow. All right, now Washington football team at the Green Bay Packers. Washington football team, the defense hasn't been able to play like up to par like they used to be doing, at least last season.
Wait,
I don't know what happened between the season or so.
Before we go any further, stop at Washington right now, because what the hell was last week? We saw almost a resurgence of Washington from a season ago against the Chiefs, of all teams, against the Chiefs. And they made the Chiefs look pretty bad the whole first half. And actually, Washington was winning at halftime.
Yeah. They were playing them tough.
What happened in the second half?
Yeah, I don't know. And again, and it's like some of it even too is not having that quarterback there. You know, Tyler Heineke plays well enough on some things, but
if
you don't
mistakes,
have that guy. Yeah, it's just not enough to get it done and to bounce back from some of these things. On the other hand, Green Bay Packers at home with Aaron Rodgers, who do have that guy, and the way they
and the defense is playing really well.
And again, he's making Randall Cobb look good out there. So the defense has been playing well and adding players too as they go. I like the Green Bay Packers at home.
I mean, yeah, how could you go against Green Bay at home? I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Devontae Adams, you got everything you need. David Bakhtiari, a quick update. It looks like he started practicing this week. I don't know if he'll be able to play, but, man, if he does, that's going to even be better for this offense
looks like
going forward.
He might be able to be own Washington football team, too.
Nice.
I like it.
Like that, Mike.
It looks like he's going to, because on Twitter he's posting a lot of hidden type of things out there, like, I'm back, baby. So who knows?
Well, yeah, because he's back on the practice field. Of course he's back. But, yeah, if he's cleared to play and he's good to go, man, that's going to be a huge uplift on that offensive line. And really, what are you going to do as Washington's defense? It seems like they've changed their scheme or something before the season started, and it looks terrible. Terrible product on the football field. Taylor Heineke is going to probably make his couple of mistakes that he does, it seems like, every week. And yeah, given what Green Bay's done in free agency, I mean, snatching up these guys that just get released. Jalen Smith, I thought, was one of the biggest additions. And then for them to come back and say, oh, what? Whitney Merciless is available? Oh, let's just sign right here, Whitney. Just sign right there. So Green Bay all the way on this one.
All right, he says DB69 looked great at practice, so Mike Tackett's on top of it for there. So, yeah, that'd be absolutely a great addition for them. All right, Kansas City Chiefs at Tennessee Titans. Now, this is a tough one because, again, we don't know what to expect here.
What is going to happen?
The Kansas City Chiefs getting a lot of pressure there on Patrick Mahomes. The defense has been leaky as a sieve. The Tennessee Titans had gotten beaten by the Jets, but they come back and beat the other team from New York, who a lot of people think are the only team in New York, the Buffalo Bills, who have been really dominating people.
Yeah,
so
they've been on fire.
This is going to be a really interesting team. A team where the Kansas City Chiefs has the offensive and the air attack weapons, and the Tennessee Titans, who is all about Derrick Henry, who will just boom, 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 pump it right at you. So, Joe, two different types of teams. What do you got in this one?
I don't understand what Tennessee's doing. I don't know what kind of team they actually are. I mean, they went out and they brought in Julio Jones and they had A.J. Brown, and I thought that they were going to expand the passing game of this offense, but it's really just been about Derrick Henry for the most part. And so far they haven't got on track in terms of the passing game. Being able to utilize a guy like A.J. Brown and Julio together, I mean, it would just make this team so much harder on offense to handle. And I still don't think they figured that out yet. Tennessee's defense, I thought last week they played amazing. And before that game last week, they looked terrible. So I really still don't know what we have. Is it because of the lights? Because they were under the lights, they were all hyped up to play, and they were so focused. And I just don't know with this team. And then Kansas City, again, we've seen Patrick Mahomes make mistake after mistake, which is helping the opponent and costing them games. Kansas City's defense is a little inept, and not to mention, Taylor Lewan Mike just brought it in. Taylor Lewan, I forgot about that. He's going to be missing from this lineup for the Tennessee Titans. A guy who's played left tackle for them and done a very good job of it. That's going to be a key loss. So I'm going to go, because I'm uncertain about both teams, I'm going to go with the favorite, and I'm going to go with Kansas City.
All right, Joe's going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Because they can't afford to lose much more games.
Yeah, well, I know.
They got to get back in this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they've got the rough spot at running back for them, but again, they need to.
They don't run anyway.
Yeah, they need to. They needed to a little bit here and there, and that's the thing. Like I said, if the Tennessee Titans, the key to them winning always, and we said it about it last week, in order to be able to be in that game with Buffalo, they needed to be able to establish the run and run the clock out and keep the Bills off of the field, and then it allowed their defense to play better. Maybe they weren't gassed as much and things and able to get that, because even they got injuries in the backfield and made a few mistakes where we're still able to lock some things down and take the victory there. But it might be too much here for the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the Chiefs as well. And now we've got the Atlanta Falcons clean off of a rest week. And now Calvin Ridley is back from his personal issue. I still don't know what it was, but he's back now, so that could be positive for them. And the Miami Dolphins, they're a team, too, that's kind of head-scratching, too. They did get better when Tua got in the game, too, but I don't think, again, they're not getting the ball to their weapons, as like I think that
weapons
they should
are
be.
Healthy?
Yeah.
Devontae Parker was out last
I
week.
guess if you're gonna be
Preston
able to
Williams wasn't available. Like the only guy that was going off last week was Jalen Waddle, the rookie, and it was a favorite target of Tua's because obviously he got the Alabama connection. But they were hurting. They're hurting on offense, and then their offensive line is for some reason, like all of a sudden it seems like they're struggling to pass protect. They're struggling to run block. Myles Gaskin had to become a bigger part of the receiving game because of the lack of wide receivers. And there's a lot in flux there. Even the Dolphins defense, we thought for sure was going to be one of the better defenses in this league and be able to hold the Dolphins in games, but that's been struggling as of late too, missing Xavier Howard for a couple of weeks. So I don't know what to go with this one.
Mike Tackett says Ridley's personal issue is that he plays for the Falcons. Oh, burn. Yeah, I like it. Wait till your brother hears that one.
But then the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, listen, they showed me something the past couple of weeks. Defensively, offensively, it seems like they're starting to figure things out with utilizing Kyle Pitts, and forget Russell Gage because even though he's like starting, he's like not even part of it. But Calvin Ridley, this is a big upgrade for them coming into this week. They definitely needed this guy back in Calvin Ridley. And coming off a bye week, it bodes well for them. They've had plenty of time to game plan for Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins, I really like them at home. I like Tua being back. It gives them an opportunity to win games for sure. Devontae Parker, it sounds like he's trending towards the right direction and might be healthy for this game to add to that weaponry of theirs. But man, this is a tough one for me. I might go Atlanta in this one because I feel like the Dolphins' offensive line is going to struggle with guys like Grady Jarrett and trying to protect against him. And who knows? I just have a inkling that Atlanta's going to end up pulling away and getting this win.
He's got the Atlanta Falcons on this one. Again, I'm just not sure what I'm going to
get to. Real quick, Mike's picks. He took the Broncos, the Packers, the Chiefs, and the Falcons.
Packers, Chiefs, and Falcons. So you guys are
except for
the
first
for Denver.
one.
You picked the Denver Broncos, right? Okay. Yeah, this is a tough one for me too. I'm not sure what to get.
It's a tough one. This to me,
I've seen Atlanta fail too.
To me,
I like what they did, but again, the only way for me, I thought in that last game that they played, the only weapon they had was to Kyle Pitts, so they had to just feed it to him, and he was able to make plays because he.
But my thing is they have
great.
guys like even Olamide Zacchaeus. That guy is a really good receiver for them, and he needs to be a bigger part of this offense to kind of spread it open. Because if Gage isn't going to get it done, then they got to go down to their slot guy. They got to get Zacchaeus involved more too. You have Pitts, Zacchaeus, and Ridley. I don't think you can go wrong there. But this game to me is is almost the toughest game of the week to pick because there are two teams that are so up and down.
Yeah, I feel like I got to make up some more games though too. I might lean towards Miami. I think I might go with Miami on this one.
All right.
I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to live and die by it. Let's go, Joe. Here we go. We got the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. I know Sunday I'll wake up and like, what? Why did I pick Miami? What the fuck?
What the hell
What
was
was
I
I
thinking?
doing? See what happens to me on Wednesdays. That Dame Ray's energy drinks. All right, here we New York Jets at the New York Jets at the New England Patriots. Jets again just look putrid on both sides of the ball. I think just not very good. But it could even be kind of close just the way because it's divisional teams and that's the way they play each other. It just happens. But I like what New England Patriots have been doing. They've been really giving it out to a lot of these tougher teams that you expect to maybe beat a team that really the Patriots, they're not rebuilding, but they're trying to retool and try and work towards getting their new
And it's there.
their new quarterback, comfortable in the offense and moving forward and trying to just keep back into the playoffs. So I like what the Patriots been doing. They're at home. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots on this one.
And that's the thing with Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. He already is comfortable. He was comfortable, after week 1 and week 2. He already knew the offense pretty well. And now you're starting to see him grow as a quarterback every single week. And there's no game too big for him. He's only a rookie too. We've seen this kind of thing with Justin Herbert when he came in as a rookie, and he kind of lit it up on the field. Mac Jones is running this New England offense perfectly, and he's making the necessary throws. Now, listen, not all these throws are perfect by any means, but he's getting the ball to the receivers, and that's the main deal. You're going to see him get better, especially going into next season. He's the perfect guy for them.
And even that pick six that was there, that should have been a caught ball.
It should,
I think, at this
at
point.
the very least, the ball should have been knocked down.
Yeah.
Like it went right through the receivers. Where
right
his knuckles are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, really? Like, you really let that by? Anyway, and the Jets coming into town here, yes, it's a divisional game. It should be kind of close. I feel like this might be close early on.
Yeah.
And then New England starts to figure things out, and they pull away in the end. But I'm going to go with the Patriots.
Yeah, especially like when we were talking about before with like the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know the identity of the Jets at this point either, or what they are on offense either.
Yeah.
I think they're still trying to figure themselves out.
Oh, I mean, they're look at their offensive line. They don't have Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
They're still rebuilding. Like they'll be there. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, now we've got the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants here. I would have said even if everybody happened to be healthy that the Giants had a shot in this game, but I don't think so. Even with the injuries that they've had, the way they've been playing, I think
the way that offensive line is that's really kind of hurting them too.
Yeah. I mean, but I think Daniel Jones is still playing well despite last week.
For sure.
I mean, again, I think he's a great asset, especially when he runs the ball still. I think that's still a positive for them. But again, just so many injuries. Again, it compiles on top of everything. Carolina is only getting better. Yeah, they had a couple losses here that were really tight ones that they could have had that just, did turnovers, just end up turning it over for them and not making it happen. Sam Darnold mistakes here and there, but drop passes. This is a good team to bounce back on where if you make some of those mistakes, they're not going to kill you on it. I think the Carolina Panthers finally in some of these games come off with a win here against the New York Giants.
And the Panthers have been the real deal this year. Like a lot of people wrote them off before the season started. Like, oh, they got Darnold. I don't know how well they're going to be, but they've been pretty darn competitive, and they've been right in the thick of things. I mean, they're 500 right now. They're 3-3. But in the end, they're going up against the Giants. This might be a good game, like Jim was saying, that where they kind of bounce back, they get everything, all their ducks in a row, and they get the win here. Despite not having Christian McCaffrey, just wait, because when McCaffrey was in the lineup, that's what made this team, this offense, almost electric. Unstoppable. By having him back, and they're going to get him back relatively soon. They held him out this week. It seems like they want him to just kind of take it easy this week, and then possibly in week 8 come back strong. So I got Carolina against the Giants.
All right, now Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Cincinnati has been playing well, but again, Joe Burrow is banged up a little bit here. Joe Mixon plays amazing again.
Yeah,
how about
good,
that guy?
Good running
right?
back.
Is that amazing? It just really put it into people. If anybody has him in fantasy, they've got to be going ecstatic right now.
I was unfortunately not able to get him.
Yeah, I know.
Very disappointed.
I bet. And Jamar Chase, again, after all the stuff in the preseason about, the stripe on the ball and all this other nonsense, making plays, catching, but then also blocking, though. Some of the blocks that he's laid down that have been pretty good, and I like that tandem together. But Baltimore, the one thing I will say about Baltimore, that even though it's been kind of questionable, like I said, the way they have been playing in some of these games against, I'd say, lesser teams have
Right.
been closer. I think that hardens them better. That makes them better at winning some of those tough games. When they were down a few scores in that last week, but the week before, and they were able to gel together as a team, not falter, not be like, oh, we're out of this, it's kind of over. That mentality of Lamar Jackson, like, we
Never
can
giving
do this,
up.
we're going to get, like, after it was all said and done, what do you think about this and this? And he's just like, yeah, I don't know about all that. He's like, I'm just glad we were able to come through and we actually won, that we actually got the win. I can't believe this. We did it, you know? And I think that makes them a lot stronger. That's being battle hardened. I like the Baltimore Ravens here at home against the divisional foe, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals have been missing out on their left tackle for quite some time now. Maybe he makes a return this week. They're definitely going to need it going up against a division rival in the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, they're a high-pressure type of defense, and they really don't like to give up any inches on the football field. Lamar Jackson, extremely hard to contend with. The Bengals and the Ravens know each other so well, so I could really see this game going right down to the wire. But in the end, listen, they're in Baltimore. Bengals know the deal. It's tough to play in there. And I just feel like maybe in the end that Baltimore's going to come away with it. Probably be by a field goal or so.
Let's touch base with Mike Tackett's picks. What has he got for the last couple
He's
here?
got the Ravens and what was it?
The Carolina
and the
Panthers,
Panthers,
probably.
yeah.
What about the Jets in New England? Yeah, I think he's
got the Patriots.
Right? Yeah, all right, here we go. How about the next one? Who does he have? The Philadelphia Eagles and the Vegas Raiders.
Mike's got the Raiders in that one.
Boom, your Raiders.
And this is the thing is, like we've talked about it before, the Eagles and their offense, there's not a real identity just yet. It's kind of confusing to me as a football fan and as a person that has watched the game of football and other offensive coordinators calling their plays. I don't know still what the fuck they're doing. And defensively, they have weaknesses. Like Darius Slay is definitely not the weakness, but on the opposite side, they tend to pick on that corner a lot. Linebacking core, are they going to be able to stay with Darren Waller? I mean, that's going to be a really tough. It's going to be a really tough weapon to try to go up against. And I just feel like Philly is coming to Las Vegas. I feel really good about it. I don't know if Vegas was coming to Philly, I might change my decision. But I really like the Vegas Raiders staying home. Their defense kind of really showed out last week, really did a tremendous job against Denver. And, yes, I know it's Denver. But all in all, it was an emotional win for them. And I feel like Derek Carr is and the new offensive coordinator, I will say, is Greg Olson, who in that game, what I witnessed, which was different than Gruden and how he calls plays, he was aggressive from the start to the finish. Mm-hmm. He didn't, run the ball 3 times and let's just settle for a field goal or punt or whatever. He was trying to attack even with the closing minute in the first half of the game. And that's what I like to see is if you're going to be aggressive the whole way through, then you got my vote. So I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one.
Oh, I've got breaking news, Joe. Mike Tackett out on the scene here for our breaking news. College football update. Appalachian State 5-2 just beat undefeated number 14 Coastal Carolina, is 6-1 now, 30-27 on a last second field goal. Hashtag mullets and meth. Oh,
yes.
Man,
Thanks, Mike,
funny.
for the update. That's awesome.
Amazing, dude.
That is great.
That's
and
good.
Congratulations
Oh, man.
to Appalachian State.
Yeah, all right, he says for now the Vegas one, this is a home game for Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's tough for Philly. I'm going to agree with you guys as well here at home. I think they definitely play better at that new stadium there. And yeah, so I like Vegas Raiders, especially coming off that nice
here's an
emotional
interesting
win
thing.
and the way that it has
Right.
been. The offense does look better, I think, and all together as a team.
It's
they've
more
been playing
aggressive
better.
for sure. And here's the other interesting thing too about the Raiders, as we know, listen, they've been battling injuries as well in the secondary. Cornerback after cornerback's been dropping like flies. Brandon Faison, who they just added, he left the game with an injury. I don't know how bad it is. Will he be able to play? It'll be huge if he can. But they ended up picking up, get this, none other than Desmond Trufant off the free agent heap.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work. But I don't know.
Whatever.
Listen, if Gus Bradley believes he can get something out of Desmond Trufant, he just has to stay healthy, though.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah,
we'll
they
see.
just need him in there to spell him in every now and then. Might be the perfect opportunity for him. You know what I mean? They only need him half the time, and he does well
That's
half
right.
the time. We're
We
good.
just need you for a couple more weeks.
That's it, right? All right, so here we go. Now we got the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. Rams just rammed and stomped on the Giants. The Detroit Lions so close to getting some of those wins, but just can't get it. And last week I think they just played really horrible, and I feel bad for them. But I don't think they're going to be able to do it here. They're running into a juggernaut here of the Rams here at home. I like the Los Angeles Rams for this one.
I mean, the Rams have such a high-profile offense. I mean, it's truly amazing. I mean, Matt Stafford finally getting what he deserves. Finally has an offensive line in front of him that protects him, a lot of weapons that he can throw the ball to, and a couple of running backs that he just can handle the ball off to, no pressure. Defensively, this Rams defense has been a thorn in everybody's side that they've gone up against. Detroit Lions, man, they're so close. They're right there. I feel like this could be another one of those games where they might surprise some people, maybe through the first half, where they kind of hang around a little bit, and then the Rams pull away in the second half. I'm going to go with the Rams.
All right, he's going with the Rams as well. And Mike Tackett, I'm sure, is on board with us.
Yes,
with the
he
Rams
goes with the Rams.
There you go. Now, Houston Texans at Arizona Cardinals. Will the Texans be the one to dethrone the Arizona Cardinals and give them their first defeat? Cross-country game here. Mike Tackett says cross-country game for Detroit. Get the Ford family to sell the franchise to someone who gives two shits about getting that franchise past 500. Hey, why don't we all group all together and we'll do it?
Let's get it. Let's get all the know-it-alls together.
Pull John Turner in on this one,
let's
too.
Let's put a pool in.
Let's do it.
Let's own that. We're going to turn that franchise around, everybody. Let's do it.
Yeah. Doesn't the guy that owns, like, Little Caesars own the Lions? Or no? That's one team he doesn't own. That's a Ford family owns that. He owns the other teams in Detroit. He owns the Pistons, and he owns the Red Wings, and he owns there's another Detroit franchise. Does he the Tigers? Did he learn the Tigers?
Or
the
Detroit Tigers?
I think the Tigers.
The baseball
he owns
team?
The under one.
GoFundMe.
There we go. Start GoFundMe. Like I said, we got to get John Turner on this one.
That's right.
We'll get a football world and everything all in this. We'll all buy shares of it and we'll buy this thing. It'll be great. We'll be all minority owned or whatever.
We will be the difference
great.
makers.
There you go. So is Ertz available for Arizona? I don't know so much if you would. Sure, if they keep it like pretty easy for him, I'm sure he can get out there and play. You know what I mean, for them.
Is Zach Ertz available? Like, what do you mean? Like
to play in this game for Arizona?
That's going to be an issue. That's going to come down to. I mean, Mike. That's going to be how much he can gather of the offense. Like he'll be. I feel like he'll be available right away. He'll be in a few plays, but I feel like he's going to be limited because he just got traded there. Still needs to learn the playbook and everything. But yeah, he'll be available. But kind of on the snap count.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, even looking at Houston, it's not like, looking at all the other weapons. They have DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, and some of the other guys, Andy Isabella. Like, it's going to be tough. They really need Zach Ertz to perform for
I mean, look at that. An offensive-rich Arizona Cardinals managed to get another big weapon for them at tight end. That's just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, either way, said and done, without a whole lot of discussion about it, I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I think you are too, probably, right? Yes.
Houston, we have a problem. And we don't have a team.
That would be the shocking thing. If Houston pulls out the win, Davis Mills upsets the Arizona Cardinals, then I don't know, man. This is going to be it's going to break the internet, maybe. That might be the next big thing.
Houston, we have a problem. We don't know where our football team is
right here, though. We picked a lot of home games.
I mean, Arizona Cardinals, they've been on fire from week one. They're still undefeated. I look for them to continue it this week. I can't see it any other way. Arizona gets us.
All right, here we go. We've got Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bears have been playing better now that Justin Fields has been there and been able to do what he can. And the defense has been playing well. I mean, but they're a tough team to manage. They're sitting there at 500. Tampa Bay, their defense has been struggling here at the corner position. But I think that line is still holding up fairly well. That offense still good. Tom Brady still doing what he does and getting in and out. So the various weapons that he has there. Mike Tackett says here, more so, wasn't sure if there was a waiting period for guys to play once traded. I know that Gilmore is playing this week for Carolina too. I think he was just still a little banged up. I think that's why he didn't play.
Yeah, that's why
Gilmore. That's why he didn't.
Because when Gilmore got traded, he still was coming back from whatever he was coming back. They wanted to wait another week,
right?
And also to give him another week to learn the playbook. So maybe he'll be all set and fully ready to go.
Right. He says Bucks own Chicago too. Yeah, probably here again. I think Tampa Bay at home. I don't see Justin Fields really lighting up this team. I know he can make some plays against this defense, though. I'll give him that. But I think Tampa. See, I do keep doing that.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. How many times I make that? I'm gonna have to make a clip this year now. I did all certain mistakes or certain names I give you. I'm gonna have so many clips of me messing up Tampa Bay.
Boy.
With Tom Brady. But I think they're going to get it done. I'm picking another home game here, home team. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Good job.
Little Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm proud of you.
That's right.
The Bears, listen, I love Justin Fields. I think he's the absolute quarterback for this team going forward. I mean, without a doubt, he gives them enough, ammunition in terms of like with his mobility and with his, playmaking ability with his throws that he's made thus far. But I don't know. Even up against a weak Tampa Bay secondary, I feel like Justin Fields is still developing. He's a rookie and whatnot. He might make a couple of mistakes in this one, and Tampa Bay is going to attack that, and they're going to be able to come and utilize that against them. Chicago's defense. Listen, unless you play man-to-man defense against Tom Brady. And how are you going to play man-to-man against weapons like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown, who's still playing pretty darn well for his age? I can't go any other way but at home with Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Absolutely. Here we go. And now the Indianapolis Colts. And
by the way,
San Francisco 49ers.
Mike already said that he's got the Bucks.
Yeah. Yes, he does have the Bucks. All right, Joe, what do you got in this one? The Indianapolis Colts and San Francisco 49ers.
I don't know.
I don't even know if I want to watch this game. They should sub this game
night
too,
game.
right?
It's the Sunday night game.
Yeah, I'd rather even watch Tampa Bay Chicago instead of this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this point,
let's flex it out.
Let's move Tennessee and Kansas City up or something.
Let's go Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Yeah. Go. Let's just move it all up. Let's change the dates here because San Francisco, and it's terrible for them too because
or we can go Kansas City, Tennessee.
They haven't had a lot of injuries like the last season, but Garoppolo went down, and now they're looking like he's probably good to go this week. But it's plus Trey Lance got injured now, so Trey Lance is out.
But
so
Jimmy G's
you would
coming
hope
back
that Jimmy G is going to come back and play for them
this week.
So that would be good for them. And the Colts, again, where they've kind of been up and down, not sure what they're doing, really showed out last week. I think it was really nice, and I think they really welcomed the fact that they were able to get T.Y. Hilton back. But he's really dishing out the ball to Paris Campbell and some of these other
Pittman
guys.
Jr.
Michael Pittman Jr. absolutely as well. And it's not just all like Jonathan Taylor trying to handle the whole
but it's a
workload
lot
for them.
of Jonathan Taylor.
I know it has to. It is, but I mean, they're trying to make it so it doesn't have to be. You know what I mean?
It is. It just is.
I mean, but that's
you
why
want to
you're
know why?
trying to get that quarterback. And Carson Wentz are like,
well,
come on, man.
Here's the thing is, now at this point they got to be a little concerned of Carson Wentz getting injured. So they're like, no, just hand it off. Just hand it off or dump it off. Just don't go anywhere.
Don't drop back anymore. All right, so what do you got in this one? You got the 49ers, you got the Colts in this one.
Listen, I have always liked the Colts defense and how fast they play, and they have a pretty darn good defensive line. Even with the rookie that they have. The Colts offense, that's where I kind of worry. I mean, I know it's a lot on Jonathan Taylor and what he can provide week to week. If the Niners can stop the run game, though, and make the Colts one-dimensional on offense, I feel like the Niners are going to end up getting this one. I like the 49ers better than what I've seen from the Colts. I like the Niners defense better, even though DeMeco Ryans is still calling the defensive plays. And he is by far no Robert Saleh. I'm going to go with the Niners on this one. Jimmy G's coming back this week. They're not going to have to do a ton there. They got Deebo Samuel's killing it this year, in the slot, and the run game is on point. I just like the Niners.
I thought you might go with the Colts on that one. I'm going to go with the Niners as well, too, again, because Jimmy G, again, was 2-1 with them in the beginning. They were looking really good, rocking and rolling. Then the injury happens, and they're trying to work out bumps here with Trey Lance. But, again, he goes down. They had also some running back issues with being injured nonstop too at that position. But I think they had the week off. They're ready to bounce back here and play here at home. So I like the 49ers as well. All right, moving on to the Monday Night Football.
Mike's got the Colts,
and
everybody.
Seattle. Mike's got the Colts on this one. Ooh, it's saucy. All right, so then maybe he can get a few on us here. At least catch me. The New Orleans Saints now and the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, again, I thought they played better than what I thought they might last week. And Geno Smith did well, I thought too. I was pretty impressed with what he was doing, but he is a backup, and that's what he's kind of shown that he does, and made some mistakes here and there, and that's the way it goes. So they're going to have a rough patch, even though they are playing at home, and usually this team does well with the 12th man and things like that. But you're still missing one of the original 11 men, and that is Russell Wilson. So that is a major part still for this team.
For sure.
And a defense that played well, I thought, last week, but again, struggling altogether as a whole. They give up a lot of yardage, and this is good news for the New Orleans Saints, who I think really likes to air it out with Jameis Winston. And I think the Saints can come back here and play well against this team with the weapons that they have. I like the New Orleans Saints in this one.
Yeah, I'm not really 100% on board with Seattle not having Russell Wilson. I don't really trust Geno Smith. Listen, he's done a pretty decent job last week, but then again, he's also turned the ball over a couple times last week. So I look for that to continue this week. And there's so much pressure on the Seattle defense now at this point where they are going to have to try to keep Seattle in a lot of these games until Russell Wilson returns. I am also going to go with the Saints. I like the defense better. I like what Sean Payton has done with Jameis Winston up to this point in terms of developing him as a quarterback and utilizing what he has at the receiving core until he gets back his main guy in Michael Thomas. I'm going to go with what was I going to go with?
The Saints?
Yes, the Saints. But I was going to try the running back. Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
He's going to be a major factor in this game, and Bobby Wagner is going to have to try to make up for his him being on the football field. But yeah, I like the Saints in this one. That completes our picks.
That's it.
And we are on to next week. So make sure you guys come back to us. Follow us on Facebook or YouTube. Make sure you search us up at Football on the Nose Show. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, to lock it in, also hit the notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. You can follow us on Twitter at FB_no. And guys, please spread the word. We are here for you guys. Football fanatics out there alike, come join our show. We are the most in tune, interesting, and interactive football show you'll ever see.
Mike Tackett says, I'm registered with the NFLPA Central Florida and Central Ohio chapter. Thanks to having a few close connections. They always have outings and events. I'd love to bring my two favorite know-it-alls to an event sometime soon.
Nice, bro. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. I'm willing to travel. We're doing it. We're going to be doing some traveling pretty soon, too. Again, as the year goes by, I don't know if you remember hearing this, but, again, we have been agreed to with the NFL on media pass and things like that. So we are official with the NFL, so we can go to those events.
We are NFL media.
To stuff like that. So, yeah, we would love to come out and see you. I know it's tough. I know you want to come out to do the show with us here, but we are definitely willing to go out and travel to you. And I have family in Florida, too, so it makes it a little bit easier, too, and so does he. So we'll meet up. We got to do this. It's I think, a few years in the making, and we've been behind on it. Right. So we got to get this done. We're gonna see each other sometime here. So
yes, sir.
Again, thank you to all the sponsors, too. Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you.
John Stone Supply
out there.
6th Avenue in Troy, New York.
Yeah, and Colorize. I never did the read for Colorize today, but you know what? Go to mycolorize.com. Check out everything they got there. Your Ben Moore dealership here in upstate New York. They have 3 different places in Queensbury, Niskey Unit, and also in Clifton Park. They don't just do Benjamin Moore. They do everything else. Anything paint. They're your paint specialists from the do-it-yourselfer to the average Joe guy, to the professional like me. Get it done. Go to Colorize. See my man Link. Tell him you heard it from Football on the Know. Pat McAfee, Orlando Pace, and AJ Hawk were just at the Columbus event. See, there you go. We could have rubbed
nice.
shoulders with Pat McAfee.
I like
How about
it.
that? Orlando Pace and AJ Hawk.
That's my boy, Pat McAfee. Love that guy.
We love that guy. Absolutely. That would have been a lot of fun, huh? Shoot some shit with him.
You know how big Orlando Pace is?
He's big.
I wonder, like, because a lot of times with offensive linemen, they slim down after they retire. So I wonder, like, what he looks like right now. Like, is he just
Who
like
knows?
slim
they
and
either
trim?
go one or the other. I think they sometimes they
And
slim
AJ
up
Hawk,
and some-
AJ Hawk still looks the same.
dude, he is
Still looks the same.
Yeah, and solid.
He could
man.
play probably next week.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Maybe I don't know if he'd tell you that, but yeah, sure. All right. Again, thank you to Down Monday, where we get all of our music from, and also Steve Murray, who's the voice of our show. He's
Yes,
going to do
sir.
some new stuff for us moving forward, and make sure you check out Knockout City EA Originals. He is featured in that.
Looked like he could suit up this weekend.
He does.
Excellent.
Looks like he's
Let's
suit up.
go.
Absolutely. I know. I'm surprised. I was
Raiders
thinking
need to
about that
reach out to him, 'cause we
I
need
was thinking
some
about that
offensive
when
line help.
Aaron Rodgers brings up guys they could bring back. You know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Like, what about, I was thinking about maybe McKinley. They would be like, hey, maybe we got McKinley back on the team for tight end or whatever. Like, yeah, let's get AJ Hawk back on this. All these people that were wronged, by the organization. But, all right, that's it for us. We got to get the hell out of
Yeah,
here. Mike
later,
Tackett,
guys.
It's a pleasure seeing you, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday nights for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.